We're live. Speaking about being men, all Hollywood actresses are. Never mind. Anyways,
well, it's in the name, Wood.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what happened when you get in the acting. The casting was like, "Holy wood." Oh, here we go.
Oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Okay, I don't want to bury the lead on this or spoil anything, but this is gonna get really heated, I'm sure.
How could it be heated when we're gonna be spending most of our time in water?
Oh,
what's the opposite of a deep cut? A forecast cut.
Probably
it's foreshadowing.
Deep cut would be like, I don't know, like would be like, I guess slop is like the opposite.
No, Prude got it. He just made me show my ass.
Why don't we just turn the page and get started?
All right. This is Digital Archipelago episode 119. And we have a very special guest with us, Dimes from Blood Satellite. I feel bad for not inviting Judas as well, but I think I don't know, it's funny. I was driving today. I was actually listening to a bit of Blood Satellite. I like how you guys splice in the different the sound clips, like that one where it's I think you even did one. It was Kavanaugh's rant in the Shield. I think it was one of them. Yeah, and then then it could just hear blaring, cutting through the speaker, David Draymond from Disturbed. Ooh, ah! It's just real radio, old school radio style, shock jock. Did you guys you're old heads, so you probably were listening to Opie and Anthony back in the day, right?
Well, that's what it was. So we're a couple of white millennials. So we're a lot of the guys who run podcasts who are our age. They always throw back to the old radio shows. So there's a certain attitude to that. It's keep it moving, always have something going on. And I just like sound drops. And over the years, I've just been layering them and until they're getting completely incoherent. But we have a Telegram channel called Blood Satellite World with 2 V's as the W. And that, if you go in there and go to the topic, we have the soundboard on there as just audio files.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we just keep building it. They get weirder and weirder. But
you had one with Sergeant Hartman and Trumpet Fight Guy. I think that was my favorite one. Yeah.
if you just saw the sound drop folder that I've got, it's wild.
Yeah. That's great. But where did Prude go? Well, he'll be back. So we please donate as always. This is shill time. The entropy link is in the YouTube comments. I probably should put in the YouTube. Actually, let me do that right now. Hopefully Prude comes back. So we'll give Gio money until he sings My Generation. The Limp Bizkit version. That's probably what they mean.
Okay, Prude's out. We're just going to talk Limp Bizkit for the rest of the show. I just heard the song Endless Slaughter.
Oh, yeah.
Song. Buddy. Whew. What a good track that is.
Yeah. Are they making... They said they were going to make new music? Or...
Yeah, well, they released an album a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But Fred Durst, he's hit this strange stride where he's kind of accelerated his own age. He's just acting like an old man.
Yeah.
And kind of vibing. It doesn't seem like it'd be a good show to go to. Because I was going to go to the show in Toronto where it was Limp Bizkit, Bones, Riff Raff, Corey Feldman.
Feldman opening up for Limp Bizkit?
What a ticket. That would have been a good show. But I didn't want to go because I'm I think Fred Durst he's too chill.
Yeah, even when he sings I saw the Lollapalooza version of what was it? I think it was I forget what song it was. I think it was either My Generation or it was no, it was a harder song. I forget what it was. It may have been Nookie a little bit. He does the breakdown part way quieter now. Well, because the guy's 50 years old. He's not going to be able to do vocal parts like he did when he was in his 20s. So,
Well, Metallica figured it out.
Yeah,
you can figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's like Opeth, like Mikhail Arkenfeld. He can't do it. Like that's why he doesn't scream anymore. Nu Metal was
the very first interview that we did all those years ago, where you came on Blood Satellite. I think we also talked about Limp Bizkit.
That's true. That's true. Nu Metal is the last white genre music. Well, don't tell Scott Greer that. Don't tell Scott. That's blatantly against the Greer approach. Anyways,
by the way, we'll move on to the documentary. I think I accidentally threatened with Scott Greer today.
In your Real Secret Coffee Hours episode, or
just on Twitter.
Oh,
just in front of everybody. I don't want to get us in trouble.
I'm friends with Scott Greer. I don't want to. Yeah,
no, I wasn't serious. It was just a threat. Sometimes I just threaten people.
Just a friendly bit of banter.
Yeah. I actually do really like Scott Greer. I'm not joking, but yeah, I know.
No, he's probably a great guy. But I just want. It actually wasn't a threat on his life. It was just a threat to. So like he's alive in it. Worst case scenario, he's alive.
Okay, let's go. It's an optical.
This is how it started last time. This is exactly how it started. I'm like, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Anyways, this week.
By the way, violence. We've got a 3.1% chance that somehow the heavens will declare that Mumbai will not exist. Years.
One can only hope. Anyways, no, I'm kidding.
See, I set it up. I didn't do it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
And
Gio knocks it out of the ballpark.
First of all, it's Bombay. Don't call it Mumbai.
Oh no. We want it to be Mumbai that gets it. Bombay was something glorious. Mumbai nowadays it gets the.
Oh my God! So
I tell you, once you read Camp of the Saints, it puts you in a real type of mood.
It really does. What a great episode you did with T.R. Hudson, by the way.
Honestly, I thought it would go like we'd get demonetized. It would be more edgy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually just treat the book seriously, you can get through without being too graphic.
You know what's funny?
You can take a lot of these sort of quote-unquote edgy banned books, and if you play them completely straight, you won't get in trouble. Dimes and I have done that before.
You only get bad at the end of it. We talk about what should be done with this book and the author. But
yeah, that's true.
No, but it's very funny how the Camp of the Saints went from a book that only very far right, Wignat 1.1. People that were affiliated with William Luther Pierce or whatever, those people from Ann Coulter telling people to read Camp of the Saints.
Well, honestly, I was reading the book and people think, well, this must be a French Turner Diaries or something, and it's not. It's really not terribly graphic, and I do think that if you were to distribute that book to a wider audience, it would have a profound effect on many people because it's well written. It's a compelling story. It's not just, propagandistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that. I haven't read it. Maybe I should read it.
You should, Gio. You really should.
I think didn't Mystery Grove have a reprint, or who was it?
No.
There's
someone's doing the reprint rights. I just saw the announcement. I don't know who.
Yeah.
I think it was Valbin Books that is getting a hold of it.
I think I know the guy doing the cover, but I don't want to act out of pocket right now.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so we are here. I mean, I'm sure we're probably going to talk about some Leaf news, but we have an exciting documentary review. We're going to take you back as Soilenials to the mid-2000s, where the New Age movement was converging with libertarians and people that were anti-government conspiracy types, and this documentary is called Ungrip, and I
got a white monster just for the occasion.
Yeah, and oh god,
I got you. What I got, Drew? Ultra Peachy Keen.
Nice.
Did that come with a literary agent?
I didn't. He got it. He did it. We're not going to say nothing about nothing.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, I guess people are gonna force us to talk about the e-girl apocalypse, but
can I there's this great tweet I feel like I just need to read because this needs to be on the record. This is from a locked account. I won't say who, but it's an absolute gem. And the tweet goes, guy who finds out he's been cast for Naked and Afraid, but spends all of his prep time jelking his rather than hardening his feet or practicing survival skills.
I love this
that's
site.
a mutant tweet.
What he tagged Hallie Mutant in the reply. That's how good he thought it was, and I told him it's a gem.
Oh my god. Yeah, so anyways, it's the same producer that did Esoteric Agenda, and I think he worked for Gaia TV, and he also did Climactica, which was also another very popular documentary of this genre. But I think like everyone at the time was either watching.
These are very truly charged names.
Yeah, but like
Ungrip, Climactica. I feel like I'm in a 70s porno with science fiction themes.
Oh boy. No, but yeah, so yeah, he was instrumental in like people were either watching like Esoteric Agenda or they were watching like Zeitgeist at the time. That was like the two like go-tos.
Oh, he did Zeitgeist. Oh,
no, he didn't do Zeitgeist. He like what I'm saying, like people were watching Esoteric Agenda and like a lot of his other stuff. But Zeitgeist was produced by the people. Like, what was his name? The guy that did the resource-based economy stuff. Jacques. I can't believe I always forget his name.
I was gonna say Israel.
Well, yeah, but like oh god, no, but like, yeah. Remember Peter Joseph? He was like part of that organization. He debated stuff on Molyneux, and I remember he kept saying the word truncated over and over and over again. It was very funny. There's a hockey game on now that will decide the tariffs. Oh my god! Did you watch the hockey game, Dimes?
No, I'm not really a sports guy. I know that's probably shocking to some. But and I don't even pretend. I'm not one of those guys who judges people who do watch it because there's a lot of those people in our space.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I used to play it when I was younger, but I just haven't followed it for like my entire adult life.
Oh man, it was a good game actually. It was a pretty good game. But I like knew opinion on the USA versus Leaf fights. It was great. It was great. Like I mean, Matthew Tkachuk isn't exactly a fighter, so of course he was going to lose against Brendan Hagel, and JT Miller wasn't as big. And so Canada did win 2 of those 3 fights, but I think the American team basically did what I thought they were going to do, which is they're going to grind them down with a superior goaltending and superior forechecking and defense. And I think that's why they won. I mean, with the Canadian team, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many guys who are like very forward defense, who have a lot of talent, but Canada unfortunately does not have a lot of goons or defensive players apart from a few people. And so it's going to be interesting this Thursday. I kind of have a feeling I don't want this to happen, but I kind of have a feeling that Team USA is going to win just because Donald Trump has a tendency to like bend reality to his will. But we'll see. I think maybe the Canadians will prepare. Team Canada will probably prepare a bit more.
I am once again asking Netflix for $500,000 to produce and direct a spiritual sequel to Goon.
What do we call it?
There also is a Goon too.
No. What did we call it? Chat, do you remember? This was like 4 episodes ago.
Black Ice, the Atlanta Thrasher story.
Yes, Black Ice, the Atlanta Thrasher story. And it would be starring Kevin Hart, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and then like Sean William Scott or whatever his name is would come up at the end to sort of like coach these new guys into being a hockey team. And then all of a sudden, as the fight breaks out, Kevin Hart, being the short little blackguard that he is, realizes that he's got to run and flee, but instead he jumps. And oh no, what happens? There is blood on the ice.
He does the Bobby Orr
Thrashers win, and it's just like that like black British hockey player that guys throw, and it'd be insightful Netflix racial commentary. I'm asking for $500,000 right now. I will make this movie, and it will make you so much money.
So
Steve Taylor will endorse.
It's more of a spiritual successor to Cool Runnings, then.
Yeah, that's what we said. It was
Cool we would AI deep fake hologram John Candy in. It'd be a great time.
Yeah. No, but then Dwayne
the all Jamaican hockey team playing for the Atlanta Thrashers.
Yeah, Donald Glover would be the goaltender. That'd be something.
I don't know if you could have Donald Glover and Kevin Hart in the same film. I don't know.
Yeah, I probably can't.
creates a
There
singularity.
was a great black goaltender. He played for I think he died though. He played for the Ottawa
Thank
Senators.
God.
He actually was an enforcer too while being a goaltender. I think he was Jamaican, so he was part Jamaican.
Did he get a lot of steals in?
Oh, there was just one. Yeah, he did shut out quite a few games. So Ray Emery. Ray Emery, he like had this great fight. It was like a scrum. I think it was between Ottawa and the Sabres. Or no, Ottawa and the Blues, I forget.
He gets to find all his friends just running from the crowd on the ice. They're stopping at the exit.
He like died mysteriously too. I think he died in a boating accident or something. This was like in I
mean, the mysterious part being like a black man on a boat. That right there.
Well, he was. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh, okay.
How is it times that you and I keep our together when we do you even read, and then when we're together here, it's just a disaster.
Because what do we read? We're always dealing with these very serious books. We come into it with a different mindset. We're coming into this about a documentary that I think we all disliked. So it's a very good hate energy that I
kind of liked it at the time, but now I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of.
I'm famously known for not watching a lot of things on 2x speed. This was the first time in a while I broke my rule.
Same.
I got like 20 minutes in, and then I was like, screw this. And I played it on fast forward the whole time.
It's very boring in the middle. Yeah.
Well, Gio, you make a point. You had watched this when you were younger, you had said.
I watched this when I was like 15 years old. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that before we got started, and maybe this sets it up for me, it reminded me of a film and a documentary that I watched when I was younger too, and I was in my 20s. It's called Collapse. I don't know if people have heard of that. It was much bigger release. It was reviewed seriously. I think it was a theatrical release following Michael Ruppert, and it was really just camera on this guy in a dark room interviewing him about his worldview and his ideology. And he was a similar sort of figure. He goes around and he gives these PowerPoint presentations about what he thinks is going to happen, just like the figure from this documentary we'll get into in a second. However, his thing was peak oil. That was really the center of it, saying the world's going to eventually decline in oil production, and then what happens? Very black pilling, saying collapse is inevitable, which for a lot of people, maybe myself included, that was the first black pilling thing you would see, where some guy is just there saying like, no, you can't do anything, you're doomed. And he eventually committed. Some of these guys are very eccentric individuals, but anyway, just to set this
up, for those who don't know, he wrote the book Crossing the Rubicon, which was very popular at the time. Yeah.
So people have seen Collapse. What we're going to talk about is very similar to that. And if not, you should watch. I want to watch Collapse again just to see how it holds up.
We can review it episode.
Yeah, because
can I come on?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that.
No, I meant it'd be for a Digital Archipelago episode. I mean,
we could do
this next week.
Yeah. But no, because I read Crossing the Rubicon. He had a really great, for those who don't know, he had a really great Joe Rogan interview as well before his untimely end. And he was instrumental, along with Gary Webb, in exposing the LA substance trafficking by the CIA. And there's this famous video of Michael Ruppert confronting an FBI officer in this public court in Los Angeles. And, I think like some of the stuff was very cool, but like at the same time, he was a great and fascinating thinker. But he did have like that, like, which I think to set up this review, he did have sort of like the new agey libertarian bent that also crossed into like anti-colonial, post-colonialism, which is like a very weird mix.
Yeah, just like this documentary too.
Yeah.
And you raised a good point. I completely forgot that about Michael Ruppert. Like a lot of his old stuff is him in cop uniform. And what's you can disagree with the premise or a starting point, which is that there's such a thing as peak oil. That's debatable, especially in our space, because some people believe that oil is not a limited resource at all. We won't get into that, but if you do,
we will in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Well, Campbot believes there's abiotic oil. Remember that Killstream episode of Campbot?
Well, he got that from the book we're going to cover. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
he got that from Cyclonopedia.
and just acted like it was his thing, of course.
Yeah, because he's incredibly conceited as a thinker. Anyways,
but it is like if you his facts are also correct, which says like, well, even if we got off gasoline and fossil fuels, how much oil is used in creating tires, and like oil is prevalent throughout society. So he was making the case that it's impossible to have a civilization without oil. And even that show, which I don't really like, but Landman with Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it. I watched every episode, but a lot of his monologues in that show are just saying like how ubiquitous oil is in everything, not just in America, but worldwide. So if you start from the position of, well, what if oil runs out? Then what follows is, well, then everything collapses fast. So it's
have you ever
from there.
Have you ever read any books by Chad Haig, Dimes?
No, I haven't.
He wrote this book called Being in Oil, and he was a philosophy PhD that I believe fled to India and married an Indian woman because of student loan debts. But he was
couldn't get one here? You don't need to go out for that.
I know. Well. Anyways, he lives in Kerala, and I remember I watched his philosophy. I watched his philosophy YouTube videos like way back in like 2012, and then he left YouTube for a long time, and now he's back. And he wrote a bunch of these books. One of them is called The Hermeneutics of Collapse. Another one's called Being in Oil, which looks at the, like what you were saying, oil being in everything from a Heideggerian perspective. And I truly think Chad Haig is like one of the greatest thinkers of our time, living on this earth, but he's married to a chubby Indian woman, but it's all right.
Well, I'm going to look into this if that's a shining endorsement. So I keep looking up. I keep getting hit. I keep getting Sid Haig, the clown from.
Yeah, but Usha Vance isn't that fat prude though. She's not fat.
Oh, it's that bad. Oh, well, no.
Yeah.
I just looked it up.
You know what's funny? That one, I didn't watch it, but that one clip was circulating Twitter of the Hillbilly Elegy movie where like the Brahmin Indian woman playing Usha is like teaching him how to use utensils at a fancy dinner. That was pretty funny.
And he's teaching her how to use a tufter.
Oh my god. Usha, I think RFH just kind of like Usha, like JD Vance kind of is like Usha's project, you know what I mean? Like she's like very like Brahmin striver woman, and so JD Vance is like the diamond in the rough that she
that weird honky walking into the Ivy League, and she said, "I can fix him."
Exactly, and she did. Now he's the vice president of the United States of America.
Yeah, look, everyone's got wife skeletons in their closet. As much as I love RFK Jr., he does seem like the type of guy who would show up to the function with the lower half of a mannequin in tow.
You mean Olivia Nuzzi?
We get off the rails so much.
Nuzzi. This is what happens when you eat too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got some good comments here. I'm seeing Miami Virtue. Vance is Thiel's project. He is his wife's girlfriend.
Well, he did name his kid Vivek, so that's that's
not because he's a Morrowind fan.
I don't want to bash Vance too hard.
I got to get a good RFK Jr. impression. It seems like it would be easy to do.
Scott Greer is the best one.
Remember? He really does, actually. He's got a really good RFK impression.
Father.
It's kind of like Catherine.
I like the running gag that RFK Jr. got his voice from eating too much, muff.
Yeah. Like Junior, he's the Bushman of the Kalahari.
What was that? Michael Douglas said that, wasn't it? Or was that like Richard Gere? It was one of those two said.
It was Michael Douglas. It was Michael Douglas. Yeah. No, but I remember I said that once on an episode of not these you people are crazy, but
these people are sick.
The Fed post. I remember I said that, and the whole like they just erupted. I think I was doing it with Lev at the time. It was a crossover with the Fed post. I remember they did this promo clip of it. I think you can still find it on the Twitter account. We're just like ripped in with like, Junior, I thought you were a Buffalo.
Look at Vile Alligator. Scott Greer is amazing at voices. He has a good DeSantis and Obama. I've got a good Obama.
Yeah, his DeSantis is really good too.
Let me be clear. I'm gay.
Oh, but anyway, so do we want to cover some recent news before we get into the documentary?
Did you have anything?
Did you have?
I mean,
news?
the Canadian stuff, but like, you know what? Let's just focus on the documentary because I honestly am going to come out with a core report where I review that hockey game and I review the absolute stupidity of Leaf Libs all of a sudden discovering patriotism, but also like, you know, Maple MAGA basically going, you know, throwing their hands up. But I don't know, man.
That's gotten worse, hasn't it?
The TP-USA-ification of Anglosphere conservatism is incredibly depressing to watch.
Exactly.
Well, you know what's interesting is,
and all at the same time, there's like this bifurcation of conservative Anglosphere politics happening at the same time. Like it's just a twofer, and like Middle America is getting spit roasted by like two various ethnic factions vying for control of the Republican Party, and no one's having a good time, at least in Middle America. I imagine something similar is happening in Canadian politics.
Well, we were first to have Indians involved in conservatism in Canada. You know?
Well, I mean, what was that guy, the one with the weird face that was dating Ann Coulter?
Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
the short one, the guy, they always look like they're at their pants. What's
Robert
that?
Reich?
No, the one who's dating Ann Coulter for a while. The one
who's Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah, he was.
Do you want to know how well he's doing in the world? He has succeeded in his political ambitions because his daughter is married to Congressman Brandon Gill of the Texas Congressional 26th District. It's over.
I just wanted to
remember he wrote that book, The End of Racism. That really aged
he
well.
Did, and I remember there was a review of it in Instauration, an old Wignat magazine back in the 90s. They reviewed it when it came out, and they were just like, some of the things that are pointed out in here are good. The rest of it is just promoting like, you know, racial egalitarianism, but all the things that are like based, it's a shame that it took an Indian guy to write. And it's like, wow, this is like the same commentary that all the right-wing gay when Vivek name dropped the Great Replacement. And then you realize that was like essentially 30 years later, and you just get so utterly crushed.
I was like 1 year old when that Wignat publication came out.
It came out, like, I think that, when did that book come out, The End of Racism? Because I think it came out like 91.
Yeah, I wasn't even alive at that point. I was born in 92.
Dinesh D'Souza. No, 1995. No, it came out when I was born.
Oh, boy.
So, like, this tiny little, like, Wilmot Robertson affiliated zine was just like, yep, this book is terrible, and the good things about it, it's a shame that it would get us in trouble if we said it. And it's just like, nothing's changed.
Pretty sure Dime's been Bob Guccione. Bob Guccione was a handsome guy. Don't bash Bob. This is a Bob Guccione respecter podcast.
Look, it was Michael Douglas, and he went to the mat for all men by, you know, putting it out there that cunnilingus causes cancer, so no one should do it. And I'm not going to let anyone steal that valor.
Anyways, no, but so didn't Dinesh D'Souza, wasn't he also like a Reagan speechwriter? Or am I making that up?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't want to think about it too much. Dinesh D'Souza. I'm already here. Let's think about it.
But you were saying Dimes? Well, Prude Googles that.
What was it? Oh, the Michael Douglas thing, or was I talking about something?
No, why'd you bring up Dinesh D'Souza? Yeah.
Oh no, just thought like that's an Indian that was in the American sphere in politics way back in the day. So I don't know if we can claim Indians.
True. We can claim Sikhs in conservatism.
Yeah, I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
No, he worked for the Heritage Foundation during.
Yeah.
He was a policy advisor from 87 to 88. But he became naturalized in 1991.
Wow.
But however, to give him some credit, he renounced Indian citizenship due to the fact that India does not allow dual citizenship.
Wow.
Interesting. But we allow that. Curious.
Who is that woman that wrote speeches for Ronald Reagan?
Heather McDonald?
Was it Heather McDonald? Or was it not Phyllis?
I'm pretty sure she was a speechwriter because she now does all that stuff for City Journal. Was it her? Yeah, I think so.
The house.
I think it was her. You're right, Prude.
I feel like she did something with the Reagan administration.
I was actually listening to talk radio this morning, and I was listening to the Brian Cho or Kilgee or whatever, and he had
Brian Kilgee is right.
No,
that's me every day.
No, but he had Molly Hemingway on, and she was actually laying down some pretty good facts on the recent Russia negotiations.
The Hemingways are very good people.
Yeah. Is she actually related to the actual Ernest Hemingway? Or no?
No, but her
you say Ernst Hemingway?
Ernest Hemingway. Sorry. I had a brain fart for a moment. Ernest Hemingway.
Oh my god. No, I'm referring to her and her husband, Mark Hemingway.
Oh yeah. She's pretty good. Like, she got all the facts down right about like pushing Russia towards China and how the normalization of relations between them was something that was much older. Because you have to remember, like, you know, Putin always was kind of like a Westaboo. Like, he was Ernst Younger Hemingway. Ernst Younger Hemingway.
That's where I was going with it. Also, I got centrist.
When you hit all four quadrants of the political compass test. Ernst Younger Hemingway.
Ernst Younger Hemingway, the world's first Nazball.
Centrist Willem Shockley, Gio and Dimes, when an immovable incel meets an unstoppable chud.
Always be a true cell at heart. Anyways.
You just mentioned that you record episodes in your girlfriend's basement.
Allegedly.
You just admitted it on air.
No, listen.
The lengths with a
I do not work
the lengths men will go to deny that they are engaging in relations with the opposites on X.com is immense. Because every man knows it's over when he gets hit. There are like 4 marks of Cain on right-wing Twitter. It's being a Fed, it's being of a certain ethnicity, it's being called a subversive / shill, and it's called being a fake cell. If you try and hide the fact that you're any 4 of these, it's over. Yeah. And you will be burned in the hands of an angry Twitter. And it will be over as if you were sitting there yourself in a wonderful puritanical novel, and the Inquisition comes upon you, and as a horde of angry wasps, wops, and other unknown mystery meats of right-wing Twitter call you out, and they will call you a fake cell, they will call you a Fed, they will call you a shill, they will call you a Kohler. But alas, when someone says that you have lied about your relationship with women, you know that it's over, for you have been found out.
It all runs off.
Honestly,
you like water off the raincoat.
I'm
having too much fun tonight because I just don't care.
Oh my god. Anyway, so let's move on to the okay, just to add fuel to the fire. You know what? Let's not talk about the e-girl apocalypse. Let's just go to the movie.
Hey, listen, man, half of your mutuals, Gio, are now Eskimo brothers with the richest man on earth.
Oh,
this is what happens when you know too many girls, Gio.
Well, block all women. That's all I'm saying. Your life will be so much easier on Twitter. Block all women. There are 4 that I don't, and they're all mutuals.
I will put out a Cole report where I rant about the recent e-girl news. Okay, so let's keep Digital Archipelago a bit pure, although that's impossible.
He is saying to keep the Digital Archipelago. Well, we can't even say that because we've had women on this show.
Can't even say that. Yeah. Oh my god.
Next thing you know, we're gonna have RFH on here, and then everyone gets to watch this little froggy brains out live to maybe like 300 viewers.
Can I come on for that one?
Absolutely.
Anyways, so this documentary, Ungrip, that does sound very innuendo-like.
I know, and to think this is an hour and 11-minute documentary you can look up on YouTube. I think it's linked in the description. Warning, it's not about jelking. It's about sovereign citizens.
Yeah.
Which is the jelking of politics.
That's true.
I would recommend it's like over an hour long. Anyone could watch it. However, as Prude had said, watch it at 1.5 or 2 times speed. I had lots of time to watch this, and I wasn't rushing to finish it. But
I only watched it today.
It's good, so it's fresh in your mind, though.
It's very fresh in my mind. Because I even sent some DMs to you, Dimes, just thinking to myself, what am I doing?
Yeah. I said, what is this? Because I remember like finishing it earlier. I'm like, it starts off really bad, like the first 15 minutes, then it kind of gets its rhythm. But then by the end of it, it just kind of ends. And I have some thoughts, but I wanted to know, Gio, what are your thoughts? Someone who's watched it before, grew up on it, you watched it now. What are your impressions, your first and second impressions, I suppose?
Well, I thought it was about Earth ships. Actually, the first half is about Earth ships. I watched it when I was like an ANCAP New Ager back when I was like in high school. And the reason I watched it was because I watched the first documentary by Brandon Stewart called Climactica. And it was really like, it resonated with me. And this documentary, I think, like, especially being a Leaf, sort of did like resonate with me for a little bit. Because I think like the idea of like an autonomous existence did sort of fascinate me. But now that I like watched it again, I almost forgot about all of like the legalese and the sovereign citizen stuff. Because I think like at the time I was very much into like Alex Jones and Coast to Coast AM. And I really, and you know, other things too. Like there were even like conservatives on the internet. This one guy, he had like a beard. He was very critical of Alex Jones, but he like disappeared off of YouTube forever. I forget his name. But there was like tons of this content at the time. There was like Wild Bill for America. There was, you know, I think Tom Woods was also going strong at this time. There was a sort of like weird fusion between the New Age movement and libertarianism that then when the Bernie Bro Occupy Wall Street stuff came, then that became like, I remember being on New Age Facebook groups and you could see like the bifurcation between people that were libertarians and people that were following Borney and Occupy Wall Street. It was
which
like
makes
a very
sense because it all coalesces around anti-government sentiment.
Yes.
And if you look back at the older, even white nationalist sphere, like the National Alliance era, and like the era of like the Order and the Silent Brotherhood, they even said that a lot of our recruits, it's popular in the anti-government place, and that's where you got this melange of conspiracy theorists and sovereign citizens and like Tea Partiers, like all these different groups. But if you kind of have that as the nucleus, you can get a lot of people in orbit around that. And that's actually how it used to be for quite some time. And then all that New Age stuff would cross over really easily into UFO stuff. So now the UFO communities in there, it's all just this one. And then Bigfoot's in there too. Like everything's you go to these conferences and it's all there.
Yeah, Father Malachi Martin to Terrence McKenna. And like there was actually this other documentary called The Arrivals that I believe was like one of these type of documentaries, but from like a Muslim perspective. And it's like 9 hours long. And it's like, it's incredible. So
I'd actually like to see that. That sounds interesting.
That's a Bellatar length film right there.
That is a exactly. Yeah. You can find it on YouTube Times. I'll send you a link. It's called The Arrivals.
Thank you.
And so there was very popular. So Brad Stewart produced Esoteric Agenda. That was like his big coming out film. And this was at the time intrigued me. And the reason it intrigued me, because I think like you were saying, Dimes, as I sort of like studied, I guess you could say like the sociology of conspiracy theories, I remember being in grad school and there was a guy that I went to school with that was doing his thesis on it as well. And I think he mentioned David Icke and so forth. And I also, at the time, I was reading David Icke. So there's a very odd sort of like, kind of to the right, but not really, like a very odd, like apolitical bent to a lot of conspiracy content. Because people don't realize that Alex Jones, before he became a figurehead of the political right, he was considered sort of like someone that crossed into many different paths and many different streams, because a lot of these New Age people, they have very like eclectic beliefs that are conspiratorial, that are sovereign citizen like, but that don't like really have a coherent like left-right paradigm thing. And I think the problem is a lot of them are sort of immune to current political discourse, or rather they're tone deaf to how things are nowadays. Like I wonder what like all these people are doing now, like if they have the same pull, because it seems that there's a different flavor to political discourse, especially on the political right nowadays. And I think that a lot of this like older, like new agey conspiracy stuff, it just won't work nowadays. Like people would call this coal and it would just,
The closest you would get, I think, and this is comparable because it's such a big scene right now, is the flat earth scene.
Yeah.
And I know a few flat earthers, and it seems to follow the same trajectory where it ends up mystical. And however it starts with their photographs, with history. They like to gather up documentation. I don't know if you've ever sat through a flat earth debate. There's a lot of them, and they're happening all the time. But it ends up being mystical. And I might even mention this on Digital Archipelago before, but earlier on in the show on Blood Satellite, we reviewed David Icke's book, his largest book, Everything You Need to Know But Were Never Told, something like that. It's like 1,000 pages, and it gathers up like his entire career of theories. So it's
I thought Sleeps No More was his biggest book.
I meant biggest as in the thickest, meaning
yeah.
So it's got everything in there. It's got the reptilians, it's got the hollow moon, the hollow earth, the time travel, the different alien races at war with Earth, different dimensional beings, and it's also in a simulation because it's also the Matrix, right? And then at the end of it, you're asking, let's say this is all true. Let's say I go with you down that road and it's all true, and every politician and celebrity's a lizard that wants to eat my brains. Well, what now? And he's like, well, you need to choose love. And he said, what? What do you mean? You just told me that we're in an intergalactic war. Do we grab the guns? Are we staging an insurrection against the lizard government? It's like, no, you actually need to align your chakras. Because it turns out if you accept all of that precursor stuff, there's nowhere to go. Like you might as well yourself.
No,
but I'm just saying, like, if if you're such a slave and everything's fake, like, why live? Why is that not the ultimate nihilism? So that it needs to end with, well, you just need pure love, and love is the answer. And then it's this sort of vague mishmash of spirituality and then it usually just reduces down to some vaguely understood First Nations stuff. Yeah, which is what happened with the guy in this documentary we're talking about, ironically.
Well, it's very funny because he's like a libertarian. He's a sovereign citizen. And okay, so let's set this up. His name, and I believe Brad Stewart actually does appear in the documentary. He splices himself in. So this guy, his name is Rob in the Paget family. I believe he lives in Quebec. And the reason he calls himself that in the Paget family is because he wants to separate. I know this is crazy. He wants to separate himself as a quote unquote legal fiction person, as a being that represents that legal fiction. And so
he's not a guy.
Yeah, he's not a person. Yeah. He says that basically if you're a person, when you are born, essentially from the time of birth, that is a way of creating a legal fiction of a person by virtue of your birth. And he says that this comes from, this is like Jordan Maxwell. This comes from admiralty law.
Okay, before we get into that, let's just set up what sovereign citizenry is for those who don't know. I'm just going to give a brief sketch of it. People can find these videos. You probably have seen them all over the place where someone gets stopped, usually a man or a woman. It's actually pretty equal with the genders that believe in this thing. There's a lot of women who believe this, but they get stopped by the cops, speeding, driving without a license, whatever, and they just say, I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't recognize U.S. law. Legally, you have, because I don't consent to be governed by you, that means your laws don't apply to me. Usually they end up arrested. But in the case of this documentary, he tries that and it works, which is interesting because you have to imagine so many of the lower courts are probably just gummed up with people like this. And they're just hand waving them away because it's for infractions. It's for like, oh, he was speeding or didn't pay his parking ticket. It's like, actually,
without a license.
I'm going to take up your entire week with my bull. I'm going to filibuster because I have no job, and like this is my life. So I'm going to make this is your problem now. And so they tend to get away with a lot of this stuff. But there's this other example of this if people want to look up. There's this guy, David Wynn Miller, Winn. He created this thing called quantum grammar. And that's a good example I'm talking about, because it's these people who have I always describe them maybe uncharitably as very, very well read, but they misunderstand almost everything they read.
Yeah, it's true.
So
it's like a form of autism in a way.
They can quote law, they can quote scripture, they can quote you all kinds of stuff, but it's usually out of context. It's very specific, but they use it to craft an argument that, because in 1860, this president did this, that means that the United States doesn't actually exist. And in the case of David Wynn Miller and Quantum Grammar, he was making the case that because the American flag, when he's watching press conferences on TV, has a gold trim on the outside, that means that the U.S. is technically at war with itself. And he can cite legal precedent, he can cite historical precedent. It doesn't mean anything, but they've got a case that they make anyway. But a lot of these sovereign citizens, it's based on like a portfolio of like news clippings, and these people are well read, but it's just, if they're just shotgunning you with that, you don't know where to begin with it. So it's like, okay.
Oh, and by the way, Robin the Paget family, he does actually begin the legalese by mentioning that the Magna Carta was made under duress.
That's a big one. Yeah. He says because it was made under duress, it can't count as a contract. Those are his words.
Yeah. And this is the basis of destroying every single facet of Anglo tradition and law in both, like all throughout the Anglosphere, in Canada, America, New Zealand, you name it, in Britain. And so it's like, the very foundation of English law is essentially null and void to the sovereign citizens.
And just to do the Quantum Grammar guy, you can watch a documentary on him. Like his entire framework, his logic says that basically America defaulted on itself and stopped being a country in 2002. And he had made within
some
his
say
view,
1913 with the Jekyll Island thing. Yeah.
Well, the problem is that he wouldn't be in charge of America, which is what ended up happening, which is saying that he said that stop being America on this specific date. And because he mailed through federal mail a claim to America, that counts as a legally binding document. So basically he's saying he's king of America. And there's this amazing scene where he's just in his mother's house where he lives. And they're watching TV and they're watching like Obama become president or whatever. And he's like, yep, that's it. They didn't say anything. So I guess I'm king of America. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I guess you are. Yep.
Let him have it. I mean, he died in 2018, but I mean, let him have it. My favorite view that he ever had was that the Universal Postal Union was a supernatural authority.
That's it. Yes.
That's
and that
one.
affixing a stamp to a piece of paper changes the authority in which it's governed. If you want to have fun with this, go to because he was also Canadian, wasn't he? Or was he American?
We're not. I hope he's.
Miller was American, but I mean, so you can go read. It's in Harvard's Law Review. Basically, everything that David Wynn Miller ever thought about, and the lawyers and law school students literally take the time to try and understand where his where they try to understand his for lack of a better term, his schizo legalese. And it's interesting. The Wikipedia
he's more
page
famous
here,
than all of us.
He really is, and he will be more famous than all of us. I really like this though, because honestly, he's just I need the Down syndrome Giga Chad, because he had said following this, he said his IQ became 200, his endorphin levels were 6 times the normal range of a human, and that he stopped aging. And
that's like certain Buddhist sutras, like Nagarjuna said that when you achieve Buddhahood, your skin becomes pure white, your fingers grow longer, your fingernails grow longer, your hair becomes thicker. Like he was describing
notice in all of these Indo-European religions, the goal is to become whiter. But Miller's activism stemmed from his own frustrating experience in the legal system when he went through a divorce proceeding and appeared pro se in numerous child custody hearings 67 times, according to his website, losing every time. Having become convinced that the judiciary was rigged and governed by linguistic maneuvering, and that the English language had been deliberately modified to enslave the populace, he decided to override the system by developing his own theory of language to be used as a form of legalese. Some wild stuff.
That man truly is a visionary.
I'm truly waiting for this to become popular on right-wing Twitter within the next 5 years.
Well, like that's like me like trying to repopularize certain things, you know, like you always have to create a brand off of reviving obscure things you discover when you were like, you know, a teenager on the internet, you know what I mean? So I think like that's a huge project. Like I was talking today, I was ranting while I was driving about the former NBC executive Paul Klein, who was
Careful, Gio.
he was a prawn producer for he had like various prawn channels, but then he became like a far-right Zionist who also like supported Rhodesia and had ties to the CIA.
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Yeah, and he like
That
produced
really
these,
doesn't narrow it down.
and he like produced these like young Earth creationist videos. There's this account called I think it's called on Twitter, but it's like a stale account. It's called Paul Klein Fan Cam that details like an excruciating detail like Paul Klein's various misadventures in the American
every so
media.
often,
we look at the past times and we see all these characters, David Wynn Miller, this Paul Klein fella, and like imagine how screwed over we millennials have been. Who are our like weird celebrity on the internet new age people? You can have Alex Jones and you can have Lauren Southern, and you're just like, you look at the past and you just want to cry because they had it so much better than us.
This is the last generation that weren't openly trying to grift and rug pull their like imagine Terry Davis doing a rug pull.
Yeah,
so he died before he got corrupted by whatever that's going on right now.
And I will say this: I don't think anyone will try and make a coin out of him. And I mean, even if they do, I hope that they are
severely punished. Yeah. Well, Count Dankula made a great video about Terry. It was really deep and introspective about Terry Davis's life. But it's funny because there was this great, I want to say, by great, I want to say horrendous. There was this clip by Alex Jones that Keith Woods shared where Keith Woods says, I didn't know that Kendrick Lamar was hashtag Team Humanity. And Alex Jones says, they ain't like us, the globalists, the Rockefellers, the King of England, they ain't like us. It's like, bro, Alex, Kendrick Lamar was talking about Drake and white people in that song. He wasn't talking about the globalists.
Like, you really need to go out of your way to not interpret it as what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's talking about the Bank of England, the City of London. Like, oh yeah, is he?
You're telling me that Drake is going to be singing about all the theories of Carol Quigley in this song? No way. See, this is the kind of media literacy the right wing really needs to get on board with.
Yeah.
Why don't we have more rappers? It's kind of that we don't.
We used to. There was a lot of new age like conspiracy rappers that Alex like.
Give me back Chet Hanks.
Yeah, man.
We had a good thing going there.
Actually, no, we did not have a good thing going.
No,
we are shooting. We both no. This
I can
WIGGER scene. No, it can die. It's okay.
No, people
I don't need another Tom McDonald. I'd rather run of a train in Mumbai.
You know what? Like I've actually gotten like a couple of his albums, and like I don't like any of these songs. They're all like
wait.
Topical.
When you say you got
listened
these
to
albums,
Chet Hanks?
No, Tom McDonald.
By listening to these, did you pirate them off the internet or did you actually buy them?
Don't buy music.
You're like, I got a couple of his albums, and I'm like, oh no, he gave him money.
Well, at first I'm like, oh, he's
living up to his name.
He did a diss track against Mac Lethal, so I'm like, okay, cool.
Nice.
Mac Lethal is corny, but then Mac Lethal did one recently that's better. No one wants to hear my hip hop takes, I'm sure.
MAGA rappers are the worst. Please, for the love of God, no more lame MAGA rappers. You know what's funny? People don't remember this, but Alex Jones, not that this was ever happened nowadays, but right before Alex Jones became like more like coded as right wing to the media, he actually had like he had Vinnie Paz. And he like interviewed Immortal Techniques.
Yeah, there were all those conspiracy rappers like Ill Bill.
Ill Bill, yeah. Yo, I was a huge fan of Ill Bill and Necro back when I was a kid.
I still listen to Ill Bill. I still listen to La Coca Nostra.
La Coca Nostra. Did you ever listen to Nonfiction?
I liked Ill Bill's for the hour of reprisal.
Yes,
It's
great.
one of the best things he's ever done. It's really good.
I think
And
he did that
stopped
one song
doing-
with Max Cavalietta too.
I think he invested a lot of money in that album and didn't invest anything in any other album after that because they all sound like shit. But that one like is so good.
Man, I used to listen to that. I still listen to Necro songs. Like I have like certain songs like Human Consumption or You're All Dying, like it's memorized in my, it's like burned in my brain.
I listened to Necro yesterday.
Anyways,
I am corny as shit. I don't care. I listen to I own it. I'm just having fun.
Yeah, it's true, man. Like his new stuff ain't that great, but like I shouldn't say that. The stuff he did with Cool G Rap is actually pretty good.
It is good. Because his production, it gets too murky and dank, and it's like when it comes to music, as I got older, I'm always thinking, what is the context I'm listening to this music in? Because I'm not like when I was a teenager and I'm just focusing on the lyrics and sitting and trying to unpack it. I'm like, am I listening to this in the car, in the gym, I'm walking around, whatever it is? And some of the music, I'm like, I don't have a context to enjoy this. It's not good fitting into my life hearing like cannibal rap. But yeah, someone said Circle of Tyrants is crazy. Yeah, I agree completely.
Well, I'm a big fan of Ill Bill as well. That's like the only like rap I ever listened to is the stuff that crossed over into metal, which is like horrorcore and like Ill Bill and Necro. Like that's about it. Like I mean I shouldn't say that. I've listened to some other like stuff like you know that album Illmatic. I've listened to that. You know.
By Nas or
by Nas, yeah.
Oh, I mean, again, this is not a widely accepted opinion in our space, but I listen to a lot of hip hop, and I don't listen to, Nas anymore because a lot of those guys just hate white people, and they're Nation of Islam guys, meaning that's no secret. But like I really like Vinnie Paz. I listen to Bones. I listen to Dead Boys. I listen to Ghost.
Oh, ZP Cool Keith. You know the first time I ever heard a Cool Keith song was when I was a kid. I played the Backyard Wrestling game. That's the first time I Backyard Wrestling 2. There Goes the Neighborhood. That's the first time I've heard a Cool Keith song. That was anyways.
So I know Prudentialist is probably just shaking his head. I don't know if me and Gio are just kind of.
I'd rather join Bob of the Paget family at this point. I just
okay. So let's move on. So Rob and the Paget family. He sets up the beginning of the documentary. He goes from creating his own Earthship house in the middle of like freezing rural Quebec out of used tires, and he grows his own food. So when I was younger, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty based. But then he rifles into the sovereign citizen stuff. And the reason I wanted to bring Dimes in was because he also talks about Canada being a legal fiction of the British Empire. So
yeah. Well, also just to the point you had made about him going off grid. So that's really the heart of this documentary. It's this guy who built a commune. It's called an Earthship. People have heard that. It's this self-sufficient off-grid housing with a lot of it's based on tires and stuff, but solar panels, grow your own food, recycle your own
appropriated materials, essentially.
That stuff's cool. I still think that's awesome. I like seeing those stories. And there is an interesting story in this documentary that you only get brief glimpses of. And that's the story of this guy and him building this thing. They don't really go into that. They go into his philosophy, and you don't really know much about his life. Just to quote something here, I'm looking at there's a funny site. It was some big event titled The People's Reset, right?
Whoa!
And he's got a profile on here, and it really goes into his life just a little bit. We said his name, Rob in the Paget family. He's got another name. That name is White Walking Feather. So we'll get into that. I mean, even as far as Indigenous names go, that doesn't make any sense. That's not a type of thing you can be, or it shouldn't be. But here we go. Here's the paragraph. After recovering from depression, suicide attempts, and multiple addictions, Rob realized it should be his life purpose, but it says Rob realized my life purpose. So he wrote this himself, was to help others through their own healing journeys. He now runs a school for the Pacem Arts, in brackets here, Art of Peace, where they explore all our relationships and find peaceful ways to decolonize our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. Anyway, the beginning there, he was a clinically depressed suicidal addict right up until he started this Earthship thing. And they just tease it out a little bit in the documentary where
he divorced his wife, then he got back with his wife.
He divorced her for like 3 years and they got back together. It's like, okay, something happened. There was some kind of break. And then he just became this new guy. And I think all of this indigenous stuff happened after that.
Yeah.
I think because you don't really detect that when you're watching the documentary. There's no spiritual mystic stuff at all.
I mean, he mentions that there's this important spiritual interlinking between all people, and that sort of our purpose is to explore this individuality in this interlinked spiritual relationship from all beings based on the creator. And he says, well, that, and he tries to make it very sort of like ecumenical in the sense of like, that's probably the wrong word to use, but just very syncretic, where it's like, well, I believe in God. Some people believe in Allah. Some people believe in Gaia. Yeah. Some people believe in like the Earth God or whatever. And he's just like, but all of us are all like, we're all beings and we're all interlinked and we're all here to let go of our own understanding of these forms of contracts. We don't consent to that. We rather consent to, and he gives this kind of like, patriarcha-esque argument where he's just like, listen, the only kingship is divine kingship, and he kind of gives this weird Christian framework for it. And basically by saying I am, that both means like spiritual but also physical, so kind of a Chalcedonian thing. And then all of a sudden, because of that, we can now understand that there's one sovereignty that is above heaven and above earth, and that's that. But then for us, we're all these beings that are physical and spiritual. We need to break down these contract law understandings of things. We are our own sovereigns on this earth for now, and we're just here to have vibes. And there's so many like weird tidbits throughout the documentary that are really interesting that I wish that Dimes was here to explore with us further. Hopefully he'll be back in just a second. But yeah.
Well, it's almost like Tolstoy's like Christian anarchy type of stuff.
Oh yeah, like there's a lot of Tolstoy influences on here, which is funny because Dimes and I just covered like the anti-Tolstoy the other week. But no, he mentions, I think it's his wife at the beginning, that his wife was studying to be a homeopath.
Yes.
Which has its own issues. We can get into that if we want, but basically it said that he kind of got like kind of radicalized from his wife studying to be a homeopath, and that, you know, she started like telling him about all these other things that she was learning from these alternative communities and these alternative medicine people. And that kind of set him down the rabbit hole to explore being like a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
Kind of, but we don't focus on his journey. We just focus on him saying like, I don't even want to use the word red pilled. I just more or less, I'm aware that the current system is based on all these things that I think are wrong under duress. And he's like, well, I think that an individual is this. And he's just like an individual human person or whatever. Like that's what a person is. And then he's just like, but according to the law, this is what a person is. And then there are artificial and like natural persons. And he starts basically breaking down. He's like, well, this is all bit. So I'm just going to like, you know, to pull the Mythbusters thing, I reject your reality and I substitute it with my own.
That's kind of like Jamie Heinemann's daughter.
I'm referring to the guy.
Adam Savage.
Adam Savage.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm referring to him.
Adam Savage's daughter rejected her own reality and substituted with her own, I guess.
By.
Oh, God. Anyways,
that's how I feel about like Colin Mockery's. I think it's his son to a woman, and they do like improv shows together. And you just see like this aging stand-up improv comic actor Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway fame. He's been doing the same shtick for like 30-40 years, and he's just looking at his failure of a son on these interviews, and he looks so depressed. And I just feel for Mr. Mockery because he's been like the butt of the joke for like 40 years and all these like improv bits, and you're just like, oh, that's like the ultimate joke that like life's played on you, and that's so unfair. It was easier when people were just making fun of you for being bald, but now you have to like sit through these like CBC local interviews about like stand up and improv comedy and Whose Line Is It Anyway, knowing that like your son is like, and I'm like, that's a cruel joke. That's really unfortunate.
I remember seeing him in Just for Laughs, the Montreal Comedy Festival. Like he's been in a lot of like indie budget Canadian movies. I think he was even in a zombie movie that was you can find on Tubi.
Yeah, you can't step back from that hoedown. Sorry, Colin, but I mean, Dime says he'll be back shortly. He's restarting his internet and computer.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the other thing. Like, there's so many interesting tidbits that I wanted this documentary to go down, where it's just like, but it intersects like what you and Dimes were saying, like with all these alternative new age communities. So like vaccine skepticism, homeopathy, alternative medicine,
even like indigenous stuff.
He doesn't mention anything like really out there. He doesn't mention like Two-Spirit or whatever, but I mean, like he does talk a lot about like the colonization, and that like the real form of colonization came from like legalese contract law, and that everything is admiralty law. And it's
imagine the hairline. The guy's a Norwood 7.
The dude's a Norwood 7. And when this video came out, I don't know what he looks like now. Probably just as rough, if not rougher. But it was kind of bizarre because like he's doing the whole admiralty law thing, which you see a lot from sovereign citizen types. Mm-hmm. But like I told Dimes and DMs, I was like, I'm watching this documentary, and boy, do I think it just sucks. First of all, but like he talks about birth as in being born. And then birthing, BERTH. And he's like, well, that's where we get citizenship from. And I'm like, where the did you get that? You know, like we went from birth to ship to citizenship. And I'm just like, I'm done. These lines, and you know, and maybe I'm sure someone of these in this like community is gonna find this episode and tear us all apart for being. But it's just like, come on, like in no way, shape, or form does this fly. And I like how they waited until the very end of the documentary, the very end, to warn the audience. This is not meant to be legal or financial advice. They're meant to inform and empower you. And I'm like, dude, I would want to put that like label at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, you know what's funny is that there was an example where he went to court because, okay, I think he went to court with the traffic ticket. The other one was because he like jettisoned a lot of legalese at a municipality officer,
at a tax officer, because he was building on land, and they said that they wanted to fill out these forms so it could be taxed.
Yeah,
and you know he's just like, well, you know, I'd reject their authority, and they threw legalese at him, and he's just like, oh, I could have thrown all sorts of charges at the state because you know we're trespassing or whatever, and I'm like, well,
you don't believe this state exists. Wait, what'd you say, Prude?
Well, I said, you know, well, he says in the documentary, it's just like, well, you know, I already had told the state that I don't recognize their authority. I don't consent to this. So, I mean, I could have charged the guy with all sorts of criminal offenses, you know, interference, trespassing, whatever. I'm thinking to myself, under whose court would you try that under? You don't recognize their authority, but you're going to charge them with these crimes. So is it the court of Bob? You know, like there's so many questions that don't get answered, and you're left asking these questions.
Yeah,
because you're just like
the court of Manu. Yeah,
it's insane.
No, but also like when he went to court for a trafficking violation because it was a random stop, and he said that he was not. He did the typical sovereign citizen. I am traveling. I am not a person that you specifically say. So he like legitimately told the judge that I am a representative of the person called Rob Paget, and so they go, okay, who are you actually? He goes, well, my friends.
I am an injured third party.
I'm the injured third party. I'm representing the injured third party, which is the legal fiction person of Rob Paget. And then like, okay, but then the court would like left him there for like 3 hours. And they're like, okay, like, who are you then? He goes, well, my friends call me Rob. But he said, well, you're representing Rob? He goes, yes, I'm representing the legal fiction. And so the judge is like, you know what? There's no evidence here. Just get out of here. Like, go.
Yeah, basically just like just get out of my court. And it's like what Dimes was saying. Just basically just go. I don't have time for this nonsense. I have criminals to actually take care of. Yeah. Although it's funny too, because he's just like, well, can I see your license and registration? He's like, well, I don't have a license. He's like, well, that's why I pulled you over. So odds are like the police knew who he was.
Yeah.
And they were like ready to do something about this.
Yeah. Which is one crazy thing. I remember this one cringe compilation. It was like a sovereign citizens cringe compilation. And this one woman was arguing with the police officer. And the police officer is like, okay, but if you don't recognize any law, like, why are you above the law where like everyone else? Like, what if you're a criminal? And she goes, no, us sovereign citizens are good people. and we would never do that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this is like, I think like at a point in my life, I remember seriously questioning libertarianism. I think we all went through that moment, right? If we arrived here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a libertarian phase where it was like listening to old Ron Paul. I mean, Ron Paul also visited where I was at in 2012, and I mean that was a really radicalizing moment for teenage me. But it was also like you would listen to these things, you'd read like the Lou Rockwell report, and you'd find all like these like libertarian sites, and you get really deep down into it. And then, like what you and Dimes were talking about, like really is around the Occupy Wall Street days where like all of this would intersect, like this big anti-government sentiment of like, okay, well, the people have been clearly leafed over, our rights have been taken away from us, our future has basically been stolen out from under us financially. What do we do about it? Yeah. And just like with like the alt-right and like a lot of like the dirtbag left, like you were split kind of evenly, in that regard, and there was no. There was very little.
The TRS guys were Occupy Wall Street guys.
Oh yeah. Like Sven and Mike, I think they actually did go to Occupy Wall Street. So that's what I mean. Like there was a moment where we all sort of like, you have to remember, like, didn't like Richard Spencer work for like a libertarian organization? Like, I think if I recall correctly, that's a great question.
I think he even wrote for Lou Rockwell. Or
I feel as. He's got a background in that stuff. I don't remember where specifically.
Yeah, he worked for a libertarian organization.
He was an assistant editor for the American Conservative.
Oh,
he
God!
He worked with. He was the executive editor at Talkies Mag.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he became the MPI. That's where he went from there.
Because Talkie used to be more libertarian before it like went over.
Oh yeah, it used to be a much more. Although he did get fired for his views being extremed.
Well, no, but that's what I mean. Like
for the American Conservative.
Yeah, Talkies magazine was like the weird convergence between like white nationalism and like PUA, like manosphere stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's like a weird thing there, but also like there was a point where I really started questioning like libertarianism as it is. And I'm like, okay, so, if this sort of like anarcho-capitalist society, if it were to work, like the extreme manifestation comes out as sovereign citizens. And if you have people that are sort of like, for whatever reason, they like live on the edge of society, they try to like live under the radar, and then they like are really like captured in this sort of messianic complex, then there's something there. You know what I mean? Like there's a very clear mindset that a lot of like libertarians and new agers have that I think should be explored. You know what I mean? Like there's a very distinct psychology among these people. And I think like they have this sort of like weird messianic mission, and there are certain phenotype that are attracted to these type of ideas. And I think like it's right throughout all of the sort of like the new age movements.
Yeah, like I looked up another video of Rob Paget, and I think it was from a YouTube channel called like Goddess Air or something like that. Yeah. And it's from the same time frame, like 2011 when it got uploaded. And it's just literally a lecture of him explaining how to break free of the system. And it is very much a main character, I'm on a quest to save the world, messianic, like you said. That's what it is.
But it's always very vague. Hi, everybody. Dimes, I'm back.
Did your son knock over your computer monitor or something? Like...
He is tucked away, cozy and tight. I actually have no idea. It's Canadian internet. It just stopped working for like 10 minutes and has smashed.
Your router decided to get made.
Yeah, it's a new router. Like this is people who've been following the show know that this is like the third company I've been with to try and get something stable, which you just can't do up here. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I can't believe we have better internet connections in Niagara than you do in Toronto. That's insane.
Well, I'm not even in Toronto. Like I'm outside Toronto, but
you're a Saga, right?
I'm not going to dox myself.
He's a sovereign citizen. He doesn't have to tell you.
Is it Woodbridge? Do you live among a lot of Italians?
No, I wish.
Okay.
Don't say okay like you said something weird.
No, because I was going to say if you said yes.
Quit trying to dox the man, Fed boy.
Okay, I think is it between Woodbridge and
consent.
Mississauga?
Stop trying to.
He's in Brampton. He's in Brampton instead.
This is called geolocation.
Apparently, PPP and Worski live in Brampton.
This is the true kind of geo-trauma that none of us should have to endure.
Yeah, Kyoto Casino is like
visit Dimes one day. I want to visit Dimes
I unironically, like, I know about where you are. I'm like, I've told my wife, like, I want to go.
I love the fact that we're having this conversation right now, but Gio Penichetti cannot even once show up to any IRL event that he's ever been invited to.
Oh, true. This is true.
That's why I was going to go to Gio. I'm like, he's not going to come out to me.
Dimes pretty much knows like the town I live in, probably.
Yeah, because you've only said it 1,000,000 times on this show.
It's a small town near Niagara Falls.
Well, the thing about Gio is, like, on balance, Gio is pretty beloved. Like, I can't imagine anyone going to with Gio.
There's this one guy.
I'm very right now.
Why have you garnered a bunch of negative attention, Dimes?
No, I keep picking fights and nothing happens, but I've got several hills I'm willing to die on and no one's me on them.
Oh my god.
Name a hill.
Name one.
No.
Okay, let's move on.
Just Dimes, I want to come on, let's go.
Oh,
name a hill.
In Minecraft. So anyways,
let's argue this out like it's Will Stansel at a 2011 New Year's Eve party.
Will Stansel's one.
Did everyone see that today? Where this is after the interview where Data Republican literally is just a spurgy, deaf white woman living in California that does like computer data sets
Data
or whatever.
Republican's a woman?
Yeah, she got interviewed by Nicole Shanahan or whatever, like the RFK running mate when he was independent, and she's doing the sign language and everything. She doesn't sound all that right. I'm sure that if you're into deaf chicks, that would be the greatest night of your life. But like, she's explaining everything that she does. And then Will Stansel today is just like, I refuse to believe that this is actually a woman, and I want like a bounty on this person's head. And Will Stansel's reply, or Data Republican replies, and it's just like, dude, if you can somehow prove that I'm like a guy, like I'll like delete my account forever. I'm waiting, Will. And this is on top of the fact that like just yesterday, Elon Musk of all people replied to a 0 HP Lovecraft tweet with just a like laughing, crying emoji about how retarded Will Stansel is. Like, this man is powered by pure spite. Like, I want him to be the testimony that like there is a beast deep inside you. And turns out it's just spite. And if you're a leftist who's like 39 and has nothing to show for his existence, this is a great way to keep on living. Like, he should be giving lectures at National Side Hotline community centers.
I love
why you should always live, because spite is what keeps him going. The fire inside burned brighter than the pitch and tar around him. I think that there's something admirable about this person.
I love people who are perpetually owned, like Taylor Lorenz.
Yeah.
And people who just keep stepping on rakes their entire lives.
Pedro Gonzalez.
He's the sideshow Bob of right-wing Twitter, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, he is. You know, it's funny because he had that tweet about like there are about 100 or there's like 50 prominent right-wing accounts on Twitter that cemented the Trump win. And he, of course, like named like Martin and Howling Mutant and who else was it? He named a bunch of other people, but he was like boosting. He's like, we have to dox these people, like Antifa super soldiers, dox them right away. Academics, please respond. And there was like a bunch of names on the list, but Will Stansel, so Data Republican looks like a pretty, she looks like a pretty good femcel, you know what I mean? Like she's, it's, anyways.
Another for your harem, Gio.
Oh boy. Anyway,
I was gonna say, something happens to leftists when they're curb stomped too often, metaphorically, of course.
Yeah.
And see, Will Stansel, I think, is on a Peter Coffin trajectory. If anyone knows
no.
But like Peter
Coffin.
I think these leftists, like they get like kicked around by their own people, by the right. Yeah. They have no friends, so they come out the other side saying we jump white on cartels and stuff like that. Like, they get like wild.
Do you think Cantbot is looking at all this? Like, I'd imagine being Cantbot, traitor to his like original positions, and knowing that he's like universally hated by most people, and then like you just see Will Stansel's like meteoric rise to like infamy. Like, that should have been me. That should have been me.
Damn it! Should have been me.
Yeah. Also, like, I'm an old head, so I see a guy like Compot. I'm like, he's been lurking in the shadows. I'm like, I like this guy. I like a guy that's just like full of hate and
He
like
still snipes the E-Right every chance he gets.
yeah. I dig it. I like
Yeah.
Eat those feelings up, boy. Eat those feelings up.
No, I was watching Donnie. I was watching recent episodes of Ghost, and Ghost has like this like severe Trump derangement syndrome where like it's very funny because Ghost actually came out of retirement to support Trump, but now he's like he thinks that like Elon Musk is going to sell all of your data to the Chinese.
Are we thinking of the
something like
same
that.
Ghost like from back in the day, like
Yes.
the 4chan guy?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Go True Capitalist Radio. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
wow.
He
Damn.
he really took a fall from great. He doesn't do radio graffiti or anything anymore. Like I think he spurned all of his old trolls. Like when he
I
came
thought it was
back,
all a bit. Like I thought he would do like the freakouts on radio graffiti. I'm
he
like,
okay,
he's owning it.
It half was a bit, but then he left because he left for 5 years because he said it actually was getting to him. Like people like bronies and stuff trolling him. And so he said like, but then when Trump was elected as the head of what do you call it? Was the candidate, he came out of retirement to support Trump, and now he like a-logs Trump and Musk like hardcore, and he's like a Ukraine shill. And you know, he thinks that Elon Musk is going to sell all of people's financial data to the Chi-Coms. I don't know. Like that's yeah.
I mean, I assume everyone's selling data constantly. Like,
yeah,
if not him, then everyone else who has my data. This whole everything's corrupt.
Well, I mean, we're Canadian dimes, so like, yeah, the Chinese know about us. Probably, our data is pretty much already sold to the Chinese.
We were talking about this last episode about how funny it's going to be one day hearing clips from these shows read in court, and we're just standing there.
I can't wait.
When Mark Carney wins, he's going to bring us up, and it's going to.
And I'm going to be like Curtis Yarvin at the New York Times interview and just laugh and then try and explain.
Oh man, no! But the reason I wanted to bring you on, Dimes, is because there's a moment halfway through this documentary where and there's actually this recent video that I know Fortisax was making fun of called Canada the Illusion, which is very similar to like a sovereign citizen libertarian take on Canada. He explains that the British North America Act was essentially like a weird like wrestling work, that like it was a lie. Like Canada was funded by the corporations. It was founded by corporations that G-word-ided the indigenous people, and that the British North America Act actually does not mean that we're run by anybody, the Crown.
Yeah,
America,
there's a very specific quote in there. Also, by the way, for people who are wondering, he invited me on for that reason. Also because he loves having me on because it's me, hey, Dimes, the human crash of the Constantine of Cope and Sneed. How are you doing? There's this really great, and this is what I was talking about before, where they have very strong legal acumen, but they just misunderstand. So the quote, I'm trying to remember what it was, but he's part of this documentary is great because it's a recording of him giving a presentation, like a PowerPoint presentation, just in some guy's basement to like, it sounds like 7 people. Yeah, but like 7 like old white guys going,
it's like an old Phil Donahue lecture. You know that new agey guy, Phil Donahue, not the trash TV guy, but like, or the Catholic guy, but like the do you guys remember Phil Donahue on YouTube? He had all these like weird like Gnostic lectures, and he was like in this like hall with like 10 people listening to him.
He would fit in so well in certain parts of Twitter.
He's literally me.
Yeah, he was like 100 years old at the time, though. But anyways,
there's this quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, and you can stop me if I'm wrong. But he shows the like Canadian Constitution or something. It says Canada is defined, it includes the oceans and the waterways, and he says that's a very important word. Includes. What is? He does a lot of this thing where like Webster's defines. Let's look up the definition of this. But he says. The word includes means to the exclusion of all others, right? So when it says here, it includes the oceans and waterways, that excludes all the land, which means that Canada as a national entity isn't any of the land. It's just the water. And he says that's why we have like an admiralty court or something like that. Like he's making the case that we only have maritime law, which isn't true. You know what I mean? Like, it's just an odd thing to say, but he's like, that's why we only have ocean law. Well, it's like, you idiot. No, like, what? And I backed that up.
And he said, when a woman gives birth, that legal citizen comes through the passage into personhood, like a ship comes into a harbor.
Ships a lot.
Yeah, like I DM'd that to Dives, and I was like, he went from birth to ship to citizenship.
Yeah.
And he's like, and this is why, like, there are no flags planted on the ground. All the Canadian flags are planted on the building because we don't own the land.
Yeah, well, that was a great
like,
thing.
There's no way this flies.
He shows like a picture of Canadian Parliament, Parliament Hill. He's like, that's why they have the flag at the very top of the spire, because you need to have land to plant a flag. The following question you would have, which is, okay, then how did they build the Parliament?
Yeah,
because it's on the land, you see. You're right. So what do you mean? Like, you can build, they still managed to build.
No, but Dimes, isn't it like logical to have the Canadian flag at the very top of Parliament Hill to represent?
They also have a flag on the White House too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
the American flag's at the top of the White House for a reason.
We like putting the flag on top of stuff because it's high and it waves all the time. But no, it means because we don't own any of the land. And so this is where some of the indigenous stuff comes in. So he says, okay, so Canada is legally only, the Great Lakes and the rivers. And he said, well, before Canada, this whole landmass was known as Turtle Island by the indigenous. And I said, well, no, maybe some. It's not that every single tribe called Canada Turtle Island. Yeah, that's just an odd thing to say, an odd and wrong thing to say.
I think only the Salish called it Turtle Island, not the Iroquois.
Yeah. Like there's like 1,000 different tribes.
Yeah.
So it's like they all they just called it the same thing, and it begs the question, which is that, okay, so if Canada doesn't have any ownership, then why do any Aboriginals have any ownership at all either? If you're just saying that nobody owns the land at all, then I guess Indians don't either.
I guess all those land claims are null and void, right?
Yeah, but then perhaps he even considered that, which is why he's got to go into the spiritual stuff, which is that, okay, but also I'm not a person. Yeah. Also, none of us are people. Nothing is real. So like we were saying before, a lot of these sovereign citizens, as we were explaining at the start, they stop at just the legal definitions. Like, I'm a person, I'm a human, but I'm just not subject to your laws. He's saying, oh, by the way, I'm not even a person. I'm a spiritual entity. I don't have a name. And there's these
my friends call me Rob, though.
My friends call me Rob, and you can call me Rob, but I'm just this. I don't have a name. I'm not a man. He says this in the documentary. Do you remember? And Prude, this will be fresh in your mind too. You remember when he's recounting when he's in court, because there's 2 instances in this documentary where he runs afoul of the law. And the first one isn't followed up on. He just says he's built his Earth ship, and then like a tax collector just shows up one day.
No, he has resolution to that, because what he does is he calls, I think, like whatever the provincial governing authority is, I guess like the executive or the mayor, and he says,
it's probably
we don't ever hear, we don't hear, I don't know whoever I guess the mayor equivalent or whatever, and he says, well, I took it up with the tax office or whatever, and then I called the mayor's office and I had some words with him and I offered my position, and I guess he's quoting law or whatever, and basically really how we hear it is the mayor didn't want to deal with this at all, so he says, well, you have a good point, so go ahead and have it out. And notice the other language rhetorical tool I notice in all this is that all of the things that he says in arguments are exchanged through letters. And I find that to be a very important form of communication, that things are done through letters, and which of course is just a nice way of saying, like, I'm doing all of this pro se without an attorney. And he makes a good point. I mean, I don't want to say he makes a good point, but he does make a valid observation. It's just like, well, if you want to have access to quote unquote justice, you need to pay several $100s an hour for someone to interpret justice for you, i.e. an attorney or a lawyer or a barrister or whatever. I don't know what you guys call them up there. And so it's I mean, on that hand, I understand like the libertarian gut instinct where it's like, yes, the law should be as readable and as accessible to an informed citizenry. I get the idealism behind that.
Yeah,
but I also know that that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, also, this is the thing where I want to highlight this, that both the examples cited in the documentary are victories, and he does get away with it. Like you said, the first one gets away with. The second is a bit more cinematic, where I think he gets stopped for driving with an expired license. But the entire time he's talking about how he's panicked.
Yeah.
He gets stopped. He's worried. He's going to lose everything. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, did you not think this would happen? Right?
My person was under duress, he said. Yeah.
Well, he even makes I mean, it also sounds very clear from how he tells the story that the cops have known about this guy forever.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, license and registration. He's like, well, I don't have a license. And the cop says, yeah, I know. That's why I pulled you over. and like, it's implied that this guy has been like sort of just a pain in the ass.
Yeah. He was given noblesse oblige the entire time of like, okay, he's this kooky old guy. Let him go out there. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay,
that is very true.
If you're annoying enough, you can get away with a lot.
That's the rule of municipal politics.
Yeah.
You actually do get whatever you want if you show
up. My
old
man actually did that.
Yeah, in the middle of the afternoon or during supper time at some hearing, and you just make yourself a problem. That's the real story here of the documentary that I found so interesting, but we don't spend a lot of time on that. But I wanted to know more about how the fuck he survive out there without, again, running afoul of the law all the time. He's not a target.
Especially
apparently.
In Canada.
Because he's harmless. I mean, really, this is what it kind of boils down to me, is that even he's not a right-wing extremist. Like, if Robert Page or whatever, Paget or whatever you want to call him, like if he were like an ethno-nationalist or anything, or even like a Quebecois nationalist, and like, oh, he's got like a commune and he's living off the grid. No, the Canadian
there's an active club there
would like slam down on him like it's Ruby Ridge and it's like Ruby Tuesday's steak dinner night. Like that's just what's going to happen. But because he's just like a kooky old man who is essentially harmless to the state, they're like, oh, well, we can tolerate him because it's like him and his family. And that's about it.
You know what I imagine? You ever see that movie Burn After Reading?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just imagining the J.K. Simmons part at the end where they're explaining this to him. He's like, so what's going on? He's starting a cult? Yeah, he's got a cult out in the woods. Yeah. All right. Is this cult? No, it's just him and his wife. Oh, all right then. Let's close the folder.
Yeah.
Like he is starting like a weird spiritual thing, but like I guess if it's not like an orgy cult or a suit cult, okay.
Or like far-right Wignash.
As long as it's not a race cult, an orgy, or like a drug cult, I guess you're fine.
Yeah.
Like
as long as you're not the Anthill Boys, yeah.
Yeah, but he did the cinematic one is, again, he gets caught, expired license, hauled into court, and it's him standing up for himself, representing himself, I assume, and just quoting the law back to the judge once again, who is exhausted.
I represent the person of Rob Paget.
Yeah, I am an injured third party and per this law or whatever. I don't really consent.
I represent the essence of Rob Paget. I don't recognize your law.
The legal fiction.
Yeah, and so you can just imagine the judge massaging his forehead, like, okay, what license? Okay, and then case dismissed. He wins.
Yeah,
clang, clang, clang. He wins, and I
they
guess
made him
that's
wait
the
for 3 hours,
but
that was about it.
He's just walking out of the court, slamming the doors.
He's just doing the Law and Order theme as he walks out. Just like he's got that. Like he's like in a he's like, oh, I'm in a John Grisham novel. I stood up to the man and I did it
right
and
there.
And I told Gio this while you were out, but I said, can't you just love it that at the end of the documentary, it's like, this is not legal or financial advice. And it's just like my creation in Yakub, you should have put that like disclaimer at the beginning of the documentary for liability reasons.
It should have been the Jackass intro with a skull and like, warning, this is performed by.
But also, like, so there are several times. So this documentary, this is a terrible comparison, but I think it's funny because throughout this documentary, there are like 2 or 3 3 or 4 movies I think that get like played, or the audio from them gets played. Like High Noon gets played, which was famously written by a communist. Although I think Dwight Eisenhower loved the movie so much that the commie like had to like basically renounce his work and got like a huge struggle session for it. I think the Dinner with Andre gets played at some point in time.
Wasn't that one based off of Kafka, the trial? Wasn't that based off the trial by Kafka?
I think so. Like there were two other movies I think that get played or audio clips. And I'm hearing this, and the first thing that my mind thinks of is the fact that at the beginning of Europa: The Last Battle, the Dan Brown quote about lies and truth is at the beginning. So you just know what kind of fight you're in for as you sit through this. That might piss some people off, but I don't care.
But also, you raise a good point there that the first like 15 minutes of this are just, it's like a soliloquy about the idea of sovereignty. And it's really, I think, the filmmaker editorializing around the core of this, which is like this guy's story. But then he even interviews the filmmaker midway through, and he's giving an interview. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to hear more from this guy. But it then becomes about the idea of
like
sovereignty
the hype
and
man.
freedom.
Yeah, it's like Brad Stewart's like the hype man in the film. Like they interview like, so this is how you know, it's very funny. Like he splices his own interview in the film. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, it's also, and it has the intellectual rigor of like, you know, just sitting back in a faded metal t-shirt going like, what the root words of freedom are? Free and dumb. If you think you're free, brother, you're dumb. Cut to in my Dinner with Andre clip. Cut to Singing in the Rain, whatever he's spliced in.
Oh my god, yeah. It's like it's like, you know, he was like listening to bands like a Carnival and A Perfect Circle back in the day.
The only reason this whole thing wasn't scored by System of a Down is they couldn't get the rights.
Yeah, probably. It's funny how like Serge Tankian, he had that song with those rappers, but it's like, how do you not get canceled for that? I guess because he had an M-word pass, I guess.
Oh no, yeah, they did.
Don't say it, Dives, but you know the song. You said it once. I have to go and edit it out.
Because I think with
I think can you say the I'm not going to test. I'm not going to.
Yes, I can.
I can say you don't need to edit that out.
Dimes is a proud look at that black man on his OBS virtual cam image.
No, my favorite meme I saw today tweet was when you go to Hyperborea and you discover that Jakob's in the lunch line.
I have this bit that I keep wanting to do, but I don't have the time.
But he's going to do it here.
No, but I want to just be a Yakubian. I want to go deep into Nation of Islam, like, reading and stuff, and start going on like these black shows, like the Nation, like those types of podcasts, and just be the white Yakubian and defend.
And this is how Dimes get the contract with Fresh and Fit.
I remember when I was on BTR, we interviewed Hotep Jesus. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's like they're big shows, like popular shows, and like that's a whole realm I don't really do, but we could have a lot of fun with this.
Have you ever heard of Dr. Coleman?
No, I thought
he's your in the name.
He's like this new age black guy, kind of like this like wise love black guy that like he's very popular among like black boomers on Facebook. It's like, imagine a more new age version of like Nation of Islam.
Oh, Candace Owens.
Well, kind of, but like he's not like that political.
Thank you,
he's
Dimes,
more of
for doing that.
So I'm looking at there's a lot of black Colemans. No, I think this is the wrong one. We're looking at Coleman
interesting last
Domingo.
name.
I was about to say like
a church or something, yeah. But
apparently there's also a guy named Coleman who's just like an absolutely jacked, roided out bodybuilder.
Yeah, Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, just search up Coleman.
Ronnie Coleman's the greatest. No, but I was gonna say it's funny. Like, do you ever really like search Tankian? You think he's read Gil and Asimov? I'm not gonna. You know what? Let's not talk about this because this ventures into very cancelable territory. But anyways,
there's some good comments here. There's Flurkin. The blurk says the collective butthole clenching as Dimes prepares to say the N-word again.
Oh God. I have the timestamp down when I'm going to edit it out. But anyways, so it's funny.
He flagged your ass, Dimes.
I thought I was doing so good. I've been a good boy.
You only said it like a split second.
In like an affectionate way. You should be allowed to say it affectionately.
I think YouTube has a weird, like, I know Twitter people say it all the time, but that's Twitter, you know. Even like, it's funny, even before Elon Musk bought Twitter, people were saying it. It's very, but with the A though, you had to say it with
I
the-
liked as soon as the purchase went through, like the tweet that went viral was just some guy saying it with the hard R,
Yeah,
and it
over
got like
over
8 million views. Like it was just, everyone was just stirring the pot to see how far they could take the limits the day Elon Musk officially took over Twitter. Because they're like, now we're introducing, like, if you're a Twitter premium user, you can upload videos that are up to X number of gigabytes. And someone was like, here's Europa, the last battle. Here's like the greatest story never told.
And then everyone's like, oh, so this is what free speech is. And the answer is, yeah, it was just this. This is what I was talking about.
There was someone who uploaded Rush Hour 2. That was another thing. He's
Those
like,
two things right back to back.
Screw it, Rush Hour 2. You know, like, do you remember fleets where like people were posting nudes?
I do not, Gio. What
I
happened?
don't, Gio, because I block women on Twitter.
No, but like Twitter fleets, it was like very short lived. It was like you could post like it kind of like Instagram stories where it only lasts for like 24 hours.
Oh yeah, they experimented with that.
Yeah.
So they should bring that back.
You're seeing a bunch of a free butt. Is that what you're saying?
I think a lot of e-girls are posting all on fleets. Yeah.
Elon Musk going through all the Twitter fleets data to find out who he wants to impregnate next.
I remember Annie.
He's just scrolling through his phone, and then Tiffany Fong's on the other line. He's just like, "Get the womb ready. We found one."
Fong posting
looking up photos of Hole that he's not going to have with, just like aesthetically, so he can.
I remember Annie Slats.
He's like the Emperor's New Groove. He's just like, no. Let me guess, you've got a great personality. He's scrolling through the phone, and his Tiffany Fong-esque advisors over there, like taking all the like fertility drugs to prepare the baby maker once more. Apparently, is the lady that he's actually had physicals with, is that the one that like his mom, Mae Musk, loves so much?
Yes, that's the one.
So he's like, this is the one I know my son definitely did. No micro chimera here, like, you know.
Wait, you mean to tell me he actually did not do it with Grimes?
Both his kids with Grimes were IVF. Wait, or maybe that she's the one exception. Like Amber Heard was in there too.
There's a lot of IVF stories that have come out with all of Musk's children.
Apparently, Ashley Sinclair has like a media company that represents her, and like a lot.
Yeah, there are plenty of people. They're called agents.
Yeah, agent. Yeah, like isn't that crazy how some like boring non-tent grifter that has never contributed original thought.
It's a big club, and you're not in it.
No, but then all these people that I respected were like saying like, "Oh, congratulations! Oh my god!" And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you
can congratulate her for not. I mean, Gio, it's pretty straightforward. You can congratulate her for not aborting it, but still chastise her for being a whore.
No, but it's not just that. It's just it's to me, it's like okay,
this is remarkably easy to handle.
No, but like the single mother thing, okay, like she's a hypocrite, but like, and she like scolded other women for being single mothers. But the thing is, like, it's what's more offensive to me is that these people have no originality. These people have no content.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever listened to her like nanny Fran from the Nanny voice and realized and like actually said, you know what?
Yeah.
Ashley Sinclair,
not since she stopped going by a laptop.
Yeah, see, listen to the righteous indignation of Gio right now, and then there's contrasted with me just sitting on the porch reading the newspaper, looking at the story. Dumbest whore you've ever met gets $250 million. Like, yep, sounds about right.
There's no justice in this world.
Yep, you know that's of course that would happen.
I just think about the meme where it's the guy reading the newspaper and the like ladies leaning in. He's just like, "What's going on, honey?" It's like, someone just won $250 million from Elon Musk. Wow, there's really no justice in the world. That's right, sweetie, and that's why we vote Democrat.
Well, honestly, that's what my wife does because she gets a lot of this news a few days after I do. And I'm just, because it filters through into Instagram or whatever. She's like, did Trump do this? Did you hear what they're trying to do now? I'm like, yeah, I'm dead. That topic is emotionally dead to me. and I am also dead.
I just imagine you're sitting there with like a cup of black coffee. There's a cigarette after like your son's playing outside or whatever. And she's like, honey, did you hear about this? And like, you just take a long drag as you look at her with this 1,000-yard stare of like, this was 6,000 years ago on my Twitter/Telegram timeline. And you're like, yeah, honey, I heard about it. Terrible, ain't it? And then like you go back to scrolling through your phone, calling someone a slur. Like, this is how I imagine things happen at the Dimes family household.
Yeah.
It's like the European breakfast of champions, and then you're just like, yes, Foyd, I know that this is happening. I think it's a good thing, actually. Now, if you excuse me, I need to call RFH
I need to craft the perfect. You know what? I'm not even gonna. I'm getting into the territory. It's getting long into the episode. We're in the real threat zone right now, and we're talking about RFH. I gotta be careful.
Okay, let's not. But like, to me, like, it's not even like the hypocrisy of her like being a whole trad or whatever. I just think like a lot of these people, maybe it's sour grapes because like we're out in the trenches, but a lot of these people, they don't have a right to exist at the top of like conservative right-wing media.
Well, also,
they don't
like,
have anything to contribute.
Here's an Ashley. I saw Ashley St. Clair on an episode of what that terrible show Trigonometry, which nobody's liked. And this would have been from weeks and weeks, months ago. And it was her saying that, Republicans are going to lose the election. Trump is going to lose the election because Republicans are obsessed with the migrant crisis, the race stuff, and the Democrats, they're smart. So they're doubling down on education and abortion and things that matter. So when I see that, it's like when I saw Yarvin on Edward Dutton show saying that the system, the cathedral, they will never let Trump win the election. It's like, okay, so you were obviously wrong about that. So you're dumb forever. You're dumb and wrong forever. You made one huge bet and you failed.
To me, there's a huge. Okay, first of all, Berwick, I mean, like, not just the women, but like all these like normie conservative grifters. But like, no, a hard shelf on Yarvin's like predictive power or intellect should have been when he thought that Clownvid was going to destroy globalism. Like that should have been. What?
What was that? The Clownvid?
Yeah, no one remembers this. That's what I call it for YouTube. Up the coof.
Okay,
I call it Clownvid. Yeah.
Oh no, the thing. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I guess you can't say that. Okay, sorry. I thought you were mentioning the clown video. I'm like, the clown video? Was she like? Okay.
Talk about a set of honkers on that one.
Yeah, imagine Curtis Yarvin at the gathering of the Juggalos.
Oh my god, that's so good.
That'd be so good. Emily Yuka should do an animation bit on that, like Curtis Yarvin at the gathering.
And by the way, I credit Emily Eustace or Yukas, however you say it, for introducing me to Will Stansel because she's been tearing strips off of him for months. And she's perfected it into such an art. And you love to see it.
I want those. I don't wish this to happen. But my mental image is I think about every meme I have saved on my phone, and I have some of her edits, and I'm just like, imagine Emily Yukas in court as this is played in front of a jury, or like the Nightmare F-slur guy who had the 39th and final birthday, and it's Will Stansel's like video, like face on some video clip of the guy like struggling around a noose, and it's like Trump and Elon Musk dancing in front of his struggling body. Like, imagine playing that before like a court of law. And realize, wow, America is an insane place for how good we've got it with regards to free speech.
I'm going to get accused of simping here, but Emily Eustace would knock it out of the park in court.
Oh, yeah.
She would just crush it in there, even if she's found guilty. It would just, with grace, I can see her handling that.
Well, like her husband actually stood up for himself in court about, I think it was over, was it a Seville or something? Like he had like some legal defense fund.
Was Warren in there? Oh yeah, I guess he would be.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, he won his case. He was one of the few people to win his case after Seville.
He's got a good head for yelling at a judge.
Yeah,
like a good physiognomy for like, you're out of order.
You can't handle the truth. Like I can imagine him saying that.
Yeah, he's got a really good face for it.
So we need a Few Good Men remake, but it's just like the Charlottesville trial.
A Few Good Men remake, but it's the trial of JF Gariepi.
We're going all over the map at this point.
He's got a revolutionary phenotype about him. What can I say?
Oh man. Anyways,
we shouldn't talk about that, but I do want to ask.
Let's not. Let's
okay.
Okay. So, yeah, it's this whole Ashley, and then the patriarchy Hannah thing that was disgusting. But anyway, so
can I just say this? I know we gotta get back to the documentary.
Yeah,
it feels like everything got far gear after Trump won.
Yeah.
The timeline has gotten so much worse, and partly I think it's due to the monetization of Twitter, because how many accounts now have been called out and have been identified as like being Indian ran. Like there was that Inevitable West one that had the deleted tweet about the like Hindu funny deity meme coin. And then there was some British Zionist one that was ran by an Indian account. Like really, like it's BuzzFeed mixed with LinkedIn, mixed with Indian posting, mixed with just like really low effort, like top 10.
But also slot. It's like, are we not even running our own white identitarian accounts? Like what the are we just dropping the ball?
Did you see that Rawls Alert guy got exposed as a diaper fur?
That's also old news. Although I'm surprised to see it make the rounds again.
Yeah.
But also, like
that guy looks like he's got a disorder. Like he looks all cacaxic and like he's got like micro arms.
Like I'm a skinny guy, but like I look at that dude and I'm like, whoa, something is wrong with you.
That's an autoimmune disorder right there. He's got anyways. No, but anyways, so like like the thing is,
he looks like he's got like Klinefelter syndrome or something.
Yeah, something like that.
That's the second time this podcast we've mentioned Klinefelter syndrome too.
It's so over. We're
sorry. I keep looking at the comments here. Again, another one from Flirk and the Blurk. At this point, I'm pretty sure Joel Davis is Indian.
Don't say that about Joel. Don't say
I
that.
wouldn't go that far.
Don't say that about Joel.
No, that's more like an extreme. Of course, not saying that Joel Davis is now or has ever been Indian.
No, he's white.
We got some good comments here. Insane Dark Elf Posse. That's a heater.
Insane Dark Elf Posse. Oh my god. That's like, yeah, can you imagine what? No, but anyways, my point is that I think nobody remembers this because they memory hold it. But there should be a skepticism to Yarvin's predictive power because of what he wrote about the coup and how he thought it was going to last forever, but also destroy global liberalism and globalization in the process. That clearly, evidently did not happen.
Well, there was a lot of that in the first few months of the coup. Like
I can't blame him for it.
Well, even because in like I want to say it was like March of 2020. This was one of the last live streams. Oh God, what's his name? Not an argument guy.
It's Stefan Molyneux.
Thank you, Stefan Molyneux. He was like, well, thank China. Thank God. The coup has shut the borders. The West has finally gotten what it's wanted. The coup is going to destroy immigration as we know it. And I'm just like, oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
And then he got like banned off YouTube forever, just effectively unpersoned next month.
No, but
I don't even think it was about the coup. I think it was him going over the Ahmaud Arbery case in like vivid frame by frame detail. Because I remember watching that, and then like the next like day or two, he was gone forever.
A lot of people forget that Molyneux was as close as anyone at the time was getting to breaking into the mainstream. I actually think he was just
900,000 plus subs.
Yeah, he was about to hit 1 million subs. He was on Joe Rogan a couple of times.
Yeah,
the last time didn't go so well, but like he was. He's on that trajectory, and I think they just kneecapped him because unlike someone like Sargon, nothing against Sargon, but he broached love topics that they didn't want him to broach. Like certain things that probably shouldn't be said at that time for a 1 million subscriber channel. But
I remember back in the day, early YouTube, he was known as Stephbot, and he was all. I remember going to remember when categories on YouTube were important. It was always on the politics side, Stephbot and the Young Turks. That was like the two options. But let's go ahead, Dimes. Yeah.
Well, he made a lot of his videos still stand the test of time. Like I see people ripping him off constantly.
Story of your enslavement. Yeah.
Like just even those presentations he would give going over Aristotle or even Plato. Like I've seen some people brazenly rip those off. I'm not going to say who, but it's like it works. He worked, and it was an interesting case study just to show what could happen if they decide to kneecap someone, and he never really recovered. And it's not for the lack of talent or skill, because he only invested more. He produced these documentaries and he did good stuff. And yet, here we are.
You ever seen a short film?
Which one? I'm not sure.
It was the one.
I did the one where he went to like Poland. I saw that one.
No, he actually did a legit short film when he was in. He was going to be a film producer. He did this Canadian one where it was a World War II veteran that came home. I forget what it was called, but he made this film, and I think he has a cameo in it. Like you could see him in one scene.
Yeah,
and
like,
it was
honestly, some people might not like it. Maybe it's not for everyone, but I thought it was good stuff. And it's tragic when it doesn't go where it should go. It really breaks you, especially some guy who could probably see the next 5 or 10 years in sight. And it could happen to anyone.
The Taylor Swift thing was also a massive seismic moment for him as well.
I think some people, they didn't like his parenting advice. Like there's accusations that
he was running a defoo cult. Yeah. There's
but if you understand he's an anarchist, ideologically, like you can see how that would logically track from his political beliefs.
Yeah.
Well, same with this guy, Robin the Paget family. It's very similar.
Like if you understand that every relationship and every interaction
is anarchic,
should be a consensual transaction, then you don't give any special precedence to family or the cops or anybody. So,
which I think is, at the end of the day, that's kind of just like nihilism.
Yeah, I don't believe in it, but I would say I get where it fits within that framework.
There was this guy that was a tech guy, and I think Stefan Molyneux actually tried to sue him to get this website taken down, this blog, where he worked for Stefan Molyneux. I think he lived with Stefan Molyneux. He was that guy he would interview in the basement, and you'd have his little bed in the background. That guy, I think he turned on Stefan Molyneux, and then he did this website where he was a-logging him. He was accusing him of running a defoo cult with his psychology major wife. And there was actually a Canadian documentary show about, I think it was called The Dark Net, about different extremists online or whatever. It was produced by either Showcase or HBO. And they actually profiled Stefan Molyneux and some woman that claims that she was a victim of his defoo cult or whatever. But I don't know, I'm not accusing of anything. I'm just saying a lot of the stuff I could understand from his beliefs, but then the stuff that they were claiming about him does seem kind of ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, well, also, if by our standards, what he's running was a cult, then almost everyone that's successful in the DR is also running a cult.
Yeah.
Which is maybe just how bad
it's
things
a
are.
Great way to shill your latest Real Secret Coffee Hours episode.
Well, no, that's a transaction. That is
there's some E-Ray figures that basically are kind of running a cult, but
so someone's got a question here. Donald Trump Gaming, what is DFOO? It's DEFOO. And that's a policy, not a policy, but I guess a relationship structure. He said, if it was mainly directed at people towards their parents that
have abusive parents,
and the definition of abuse would be very broad. But if you feel broad, that your parents did not raise you in a way, you have no duty to remain their child. You can excommunicate them. You can, transition yourself out of their lives completely. Yeah, emancipate. That's where I'm looking for. Yeah. Emancipate yourself, and you should. And he apparently practices this with his children too, because he's a father of a teenager now, I believe. But it was just, again, it's an anarchistic way of looking at parenting, that just because you are my child, you are also a sovereign citizen. So if I am violating the non-aggression principle in some way, then you have the right to just go away,
cut
forever.
Me off. Yeah. No, and the reason I hate to say it, but I don't want to cast shade on him, but a lot of this does come from his abusive mother. Let's face it.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm I see where it comes from. I would not even qualify that as a grift. Some of the others I've seen, I'm not going to name any names. I don't want to make but over the years, he's gone into excruciating detail about his mother, and it's not some of the calls he's received. I'm not gonna lie, there's some people that have felted him over the years, where he call-in shows, but there's other ones where you could tell very, very damaged people
have like called into his show. Yeah.
And just to give some anecdotal evidence here, as a father of a young son, and he's, not teenage yet, but based on what I'm seeing from the parents, you see when you're out and about the parks or wherever it might be, there's a lot of really bad parents out there. And you're not supposed to say that because we are a pro-natal movement. We are pro-childbirth. We are on the side of life. Yes, yes, yes. But let us also address the fact that you see a lot of mothers who take a lot out on their kids, boys and girls, and absentee fathers and all of it. So, maybe that maximizes as it gets older.
There are, like, as much as I'm pro-natalist, there are some people that simply just don't deserve to have children. Like, let's be real.
And it's not even the ones who got 5 kids. They say, oh, these people who have 6 kids who can't financially support them. It's not even financial.
No, I'm talking about people that are inherently abusive. And
it's the ones who have like 1 or 2 or 3, like a what you would call a healthy amount, but they're just still like I know a couple, like my wife's coworkers, like they put their kids in daycare at 6 months old, and they just they hate spending time with their kids, and they're passive aggressive and dismissive. And I'm like, you can see how these people are created. You can see every guy you've ever known, every girl with borderline personality disorder. When you're a parent, you see them become that in real time. You know where they come from. Yeah. It's wild to see it in real life.
But, people were saying that about Musk, like how it's inherently irresponsible to like just breed all of these children and just like not be in their lives, which I agree with. It's like, I mean, these kids are going to be set for life, but it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just, to me, it just seems very cold and sterile. And like, if you bring a life into the world, there's an inherent responsibility there, I think.
Well, he's approaching it from, I would call it transhumanist, but someone else would
call of course.
That e-accelerationist thing, which is, if he's using IVF, I have to assume he's also doing gene editing. And there's some...
Oh God! Yeah,
there's some other shit going on where he's like playing with the genes in some way. I don't know.
Apparently, Ashley Sinclair has this deleted tweet where she said that the baby, it could be doctor, but like that they used CRISPR or whatever.
I believe it. That would explain why he's doing this. And so it is it's eugenic in the sense that he wants to create, I guess, perfect children. But it's also cold. It's also inhuman from a distance.
Yeah,
he's also not raising his children. He's just letting the most insane women you've ever met be single moms.
Well, he uses like one as a prop though, but that's about it. Like he carries the one kid around.
Like the Dowager Empress, like, he's got one chick. He's like, he cares about that gave birth to one of his favorites, and then the rest man, there's some great. This is why I think I said this a couple episodes ago. This is why like all political fiction for television died in the Trump era and will remain dead for a long time, because reality is just infinitely more entertaining. Like House of Cards, first 2 seasons, really pretty decent. And then after that, in the Trump era, all goes to shit, like real quick. Veep dies. All other forms of political comedy, dead. The only thing that has aged incredibly well is Yes Minister, because, well, that's still pretty damn accurate to the
Nothing that Sorkin has ever touched will age well.
No, but everyone, like, this is the thing. This is why I find all these like conversations about the bureaucracy so entertaining, because like we're clinging to the flag, and we're clinging to the flag like Aaron Sorkin clings to the flag. And so it's like, oh, so like you still want to burn it at the end because like you believe that's your right. And it's this like myth of like, wow, the American people really hate the bureaucracy. How do we do to change all this? And it's like, there's not a damn thing that you can do.
That's something that Molly Hemingway said today on the Kilgee show or whatever. She said like these people that are like complaining on 60 Minutes of getting fired. It's like they've never had this sort of level of scrutiny in their lives.
Because they live in a bubble. Like all federal employees more or less live in like a 100 square mile radius of the District of Columbia. And like Nova's the same way. Southern Maryland is the same way. And so when you look at all of this, you realize they have been surrounded by people that look like them, talk like them, vote like them, believe like them. Yeah. It is basically an uncontacted tribal community coming into contact with like an advanced European civilization that realizes, oh, I can crush you like a bug And they decided to do that. So Doge came in and offered them a little like parcel of land somewhere else, far away from Nova as possible, sent them a nice new blanket and shipped them off. And it's so nice to see the federal bureaucracy get gutted this way. Like just today, there's an incoming executive order that's going to basically gut all NEPA regulations. And I am over the fucking moon.
What's NEPA for those who don't know?
National Environmental Policy Act of 1970. Basically, any project that is funded, subsidized, or loaned with federal dollars of the taxpayer money has to undergo environmental review, which is essentially not only stymied a lot of ways in which projects can be built and developed, but also it throws a huge bone to virtually any sort of activist group that wants to demand environmental review. And this is how a lot of projects get held up, but it also gives a load of gibs to like tribal governments. So you want to build in Oklahoma, you want to drill in certain parts where there are reservations, good luck, because you basically have to find someone in an archaeological society to do your NEPA review that is basically not tribally affiliated, because if they're tribally affiliated, they're always going to say, well, there might be something here and the tribe needs to investigate, and then your project gets held up and you don't get the money. So
that's
to see
here
all
in
of this,
Canada.
oh yeah, but in America, like this is fantastic, because if you live in like a landlocked area like I do doing a project, this like 16 bullet point checklist for NEPA is absolutely ridiculous, because half of them I end up doing is a Google map screenshot of the project area, and it's like, no, there are no coastal barriers, there are no sole source aquifers, there are no like protected coastline areas, and da. And the same thing with endangered species. Like you can come up with all sorts of insane reasons for environmental reviews to stop it, when most of the time you're not going to be affecting anything because you're working on already existing infrastructure. So it's like, yeah, they're an uncontacted tribe because they've never had to deal with outside scrutiny, because for the longest time, one, the American people have been fed this notion that like the civil bureaucracy and the civil service in America, A, is either politically neutral, or B, is sort of progressive, but it's a force for good. Now that that's changed, and we basically saw through the Trump administration, we've seen through virtually just decades of anarcho-tyranny, oh no, these people are actually evil, and Congress has abdicated its responsibility to effectively govern, and the five most honest minutes of congressional TV you will ever watch is a clip from former senator of Nebraska, Ben Sasse, during the Brett Kavanaugh hearing.
Ben Sasse? Yeah,
that guy. A terrible, terrible piece of garbage. I think he's now in the university system. Dude's a queer. Don't like him. But anyways, the point is that for 5 minutes, he basically said, listen, Congress doesn't do its job. We don't make laws. We write these shell laws and omnibus funding packages that say the director of X agency will do. Yeah, that's what he admits, Gio. Thank you very much for ruining my spiel and my flow here, but that's okay. I'll go off.
I muted myself for that.
That's okay. I'm just going to go myself repeatedly in front of a train, but that's okay. Yeah, long story short, bureaucracy runs everything. And now that these things are getting gutted, the bureaucracy has less things to do over with. Great for small towns, great for local government, great for someone to get a new water sewage treatment plant built without getting screwed over. And so, these things about government are nice to see changed. And so this whole documentary for me is like, what a weird travel back in time when my issues were about like alternative medicine, new age spirituality, and this interlinking consciousness, when Canada was still like 99% white. And I don't think Bob Page or, the Paget family has probably got the same opinions he does now. He's more of like ready for ethnic side than anything else, with his like Indian views on like colonialism and genocide. So it's sort of just it's quaint. It's quaint to think that this was like the center for new age or alternative thought. 15
every
years
solution
ago.
was populist. As
Yeah,
we need mass awakenings. Everything was back to mass awakenings, mass movements, and it does seem quaint. It's like if we just form a big enough drum circle, then the reverberations, like something has to happen. The refrain we have now is nothing ever happens. Back then it was, well, something has to happen if enough people do a thing, right? And that was really also the guiding force behind startup culture back then too. Like if we get enough people together, then $1 billion. That
was Alex Jones's main message back in the day as well. Like that's like the whole root of it. Like,
and that's where you see the divide between like the dissident or the alt and the new age and the like dirtbag left is that the left wing still embraced this kind of like activist populism, not knowing that a lot of it was subsidized by the federal government. And on the right, it was sort of this like very depressed, realist, pessimistic, nothing ever happens. And that's why I think really if you were to do a sort of ontological thing, like you would be like, oh, well, like clearly this is where woke comes from. Like we wake enough people up. If they're woken up, they'll do it. And so like then the right just took the red pilling thing from Yarvin and away from the Wachowskis for good reason. But like it is interesting to see that like these like spiritual mass awakenings of consciousness, and we all like realize that we're up against a system that if we brought it all down, that this would be the way that we can revolutionize the way that we interact with one another. It's very much like John Lennon's Imagine in a lot of respects, and that still kind of exists, not really anymore on the left. On the right, it's kind of embraced these things, in a form of like neo-spiritual, neo-pagan, folksish kind of ways to do it. And it's been sort of taken from the left. And on one hand, that makes me worry because it's like, oh, are we like harbingers of doom style customers? Or is it the right that really needs that energy to do something? And so far, it seems more like the latter, although my gut tells me it's more of the former.
No, it's true, because I think the left has gone through like a massive like secularization, because a lot of this stuff does come originally from like the 60s and 70s human potential movement, which did have a lot of like glow in the dark connections. But it seems that the political left has sort of abandoned that, and any populism is also by the wayside. And that's why you have people, that's why like you have disgusting ghouls like Vaush that are like freaking out because he's like, US aid is going to lead to people starving en masse, and they did a lot of good work, but also it was very important for American soft power. So Trump is giving away this amazing tool that we can use. So what Vaush is saying, and what the political left has been saying about getting rid of U.S. grids, is that you're essentially admitting to all the stuff that you used to criticize is actually a good thing. Yeah. The CIA regime changing various governments throughout the world, a good thing. The World Bank giving conditional loans to developing countries and controlling and privatizing everything, that was actually a good thing. And so here you have two things in the political right. Two things in the political left, two trends that I noticed. One is a neoliberal turn in the political left, and a lot of irony cells are basically, at this junction where all of those things are good, all those international institutions that privatize and gut third world countries, that's actually good because Trump hates them. They're good. And number two, which I've noticed recently with, Martin and my good friend Kunk, that there's a post-Foucauldian left in America and in Canada, meaning that they don't care about criticizing institutions like the education system the way that the new left would. Instead, they love it because they love living in school forever. That's essentially their heaven. So there was this stupid tweet by this idiot Dun Scotus on Twitter, who's like this left cath who looks like he actually looks like a
say it, Gio. You want to say it.
He looks like a cachexic diabetic with the autoimmune deficiency. No. Anyways, I'm gonna say he looks like he's no, I'm not gonna say it. Anyways, I think he's a left cath.
It's a musical instrument. It starts with an F.
I know. But he had this tweet.
We made up the word, Gio. It's ours.
It's ours. We made it up. Anyways, he had this tweet. He was screen capping a Martin tweet about the school system, and he said that the political right just wants the bourgeois family, and it wants to gut all of public life. But I'm thinking, isn't that, apart from like the bourgeois, like the Marxist nonsense about the bourgeoisie, isn't that kind of like what Michel Foucault said about the sort of like, when he was talking about this sort of a humanistic turn in his later work about the techniques of the self, that all of these other institutions are essentially forfeit in a lot of ways, that they are just constructs of power knowledge, and that they actually don't have a similar sort of gravity that you're ascribing them to. But because a literal Austrian painter fan is saying it, therefore you have to counter signal it.
Well, it's incredible. To his credit, this is also what Slavoj Zizek says. A lot of these intellectuals gather around him, and I don't think a lot of people have accounted for how Zizek is probably the only intellectual figure on the left that really matters. Period, currently, and has for a long time. But he's the guy he's not just an institution lover or an institution defender. By the way, before I forget, I'm calling back to an earlier comment here from EC. Transhuman neo-Confucianism arrives from South Africa. that's a deep callback, but I just needed to highlight that comment.
That's a banger tweet.
That's a deep cut right there.
But yeah, no, I agree completely. It's funny that what we've seen is the entire mainstream conservative establishment, at least in the US, be brought down to our level. Like when you talk about Vaush saying we're going to be unemployed, and then there's going to be piles of Mexicans, and then they're going to deport, and we say, yep. Like that's what everyone's saying. Not me, not you, but like everyone says, okay, good. Oh, there's going to be.
Do you see that story where they were like, they deported a whole Mexican family, and people were like, well, okay, like.
Yeah, good. More.
They could be deported together.
More and faster.
Families
and
can
now
be deported together.
Yeah. They could be deported on the same bus.
Something broke in people. Something really.
I want that. Okay, now that you said the bus, I'm just now thinking of like the old man, like from the Six Flags commercial, like a red bow tie. I need that to be played over a video of deportations. Even though, like, I will say this, the deportation numbers are atrocious. Obama did do better, but like the fact that the White House was just like illegal alien deportation ASMR, I'm just like, the slop psyops I'm gonna get out of this administration this go around are gonna be so kino, and I can't wait for more. But I also know, like, you need to accelerate, you need to deport more millions now. Nevertheless, this has been really good, and I need the Six Flags theme to be playing over these now. I trust the audience's autism to make it.
I remember those commercials because when I was in grade school, I used to when I was in elementary school, I used to watch Peachtree TV a lot. But I think there's actually, they would advertise because I think there's a Six Flags in Darien Lake, and so like a lot of Leafs would go there. Is there
I've
one?
Never been there, but I saw commercials all the time. I'm like, it looks so cool.
Darien
but
Lake,
it's probably not.
It's I don't know. They say like Canada's Wonderland is better, but I'm not a ride guy, so I wouldn't know.
Gio, have you ever been on Drop Zone?
I've never been on Drop Zone. No, God.
That's funny.
I'm not a ride guy. I can't do it.
We got to get Gio loaded up on LSD and take him to Wonderland.
No.
Like the midnight one on Halloween where they have all the costumes.
No. Even better, just during the day, just in the afternoon. Just make a regular ass day of it.
Oh my God. My friends would go to Canada's Wonderland. I'm like, I'm not going, man. I'm not, isn't everything like expensive now though? Like, if
you want to do it right, and if you all want to get like the front of the line pass, which you need to do if you want to have any time at all. So you're spending, if you've got kids, forget about it. You're spending.
Yeah, forget about it, man.
You're spending $1,000, but whatever. It's
like it seems
$12
like
bottle of water.
It's like everything, man. It's like that. I remember when I was younger, me and my friends, we went to that one like water park in Niagara Falls. Like, it seems like anything, like now that I look back, like my parents were right. Anything to do with kids, especially to do with like a whole group of kids, just basically costs an arm and the leg. Like, it's just,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
if you want to, again, do it right where you're not standing around all day just in the sun.
Yeah.
But you get to experience it with new, like, I'm getting really hokey now, but once you have kids, going to these things makes sense again. And you could have a good time knowing that you're not just a guy or a guy and a girl showing up to do it as adults. It feels weird to go to Disneyland as an adult, but if you have a kid, you get their energy and you're like, oh,
it's a chore.
I see this with new eyes, so I get it now. But there's all kinds, like going to a zoo with kids. It's kind of a nightmare, but it's kind of the best thing you've ever done at the same time. So, again, not trying to get sentimental there. Let's get back to people.
In Minecraft.
Yes.
In Call of Duty World at War.
And
what's the newest Call of Duty? What's it called? I can't believe they still make Call of Duties.
Yeah, more like Call of Duty. I'm talking turds.
There was this guy. He was like a fedora tipper. He used to do these commentaries, but he would like beef with all the other Let's Players. Because back in the day, kiddies, you used to devote yourself only to one video game. and it was usually either Call of Duty or Minecraft. And there was this one guy, his name was obviously Jesus, and he was like this weirdo, like atheist libertarian, and he used to like beef with Hutch. And I remember he like called it like, Black Cox too. Oh man, his commentary was actually pretty funny, but then he tried to like break into like 15-year-olds first philosophy videos, and it just didn't work. And it's nobody remembers this man. Nobody remembers obviously Jesus.
Prude, tell the folks at home what we're looking at here. Inside Jen Psaki. Oh man, did she really call her show that?
I always call her Pasky. I don't know why.
Oh, he's gone.
Uh-oh. I think because I said Pasky instead of Psaki.
That's your Italian. You start auto-completing to pasta.
Oh god. Oh my god.
So we spent like 30% of the episode talking about the documentary. I think I got out most of what I wanted to say on it though. I just love shooting this though. I can go on forever about
you guys have to see those super chats. What the hell are you guys doing? Come on, man. I live in Canada. We're ruined. It's over.
Yeah, you got some super chat. What is this? Flirting with Black 20. What denomination of that is 20,000 of something?
D 50,000. Okay, what is that?
What sort of nation is this?
Currency D.
The underline
D. The denier?
Dinars, yeah. Or doubloons even.
Currency symbol for Serbia's den. Dogecoin. What? That can't be true. That can't be true.
20,000 Dogecoins, man. Oh, and also 50,000.
How much is a Dogecoin in real money?
I think I'm gonna get into a real type of losing my shirt in crypto arc.
Prude, what is a D in currency? D underline.
Obviously, Prude, there is no D in currency.
That's so true.
They take 17K to $1 Canadian dollar.
Oh, like, so what is like
it's so over?
They got like $1.
$50,000
for $1.
I buy that for $1. That's a ghost call out right there.
That's literally from in RoboCop.
No, it's from RoboCop. But
I love a guy who just only watches content and not movies.
I watch tons of movies and content.
Oh man, did you watch the last episode, Dimes? I had a funny. I'm going to retell the story anyway. So, just because it's for your enjoyment. My very good friend does not watch a lot of movies. There are maybe like 15 to 20 films he has seen tops, and they're not a lot of the cultural bangers. And so at the Super Bowl, they had all those awful commercials playing. Oh, no, I mean, we spent maybe like, never mind. I'm not going to tell you something that I'd done that I would cringe at. So instead, anyways, we're sitting there. I met my parents. They invited myself and my friend over for the Super Bowl because we didn't have anything to do on a Sunday evening. Not that I know. I broke the Greerhead pledge. I'm sorry. Whatever. Don't give it. Anyways, they brought on Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, like aged, to redo the entire scene from when Harry Met Sally, the faking the orgasm thing.
Yeah.
And it's a Hellman's mayo commercial. And she's like putting the mayo on like the sandwich or whatever. And my friend, who has no idea what he's about to witness because he has never seen this movie, he goes, "Oh, well, that's clearly too much mayo." And my parents and I are just losing our shit because it's like, wow, I can't believe that they're replaying like the fake orgasm scene for millions to watch, only for Sydney Sweeney at the end to be like, "I'll have what she's having," and it's like, shut up. And
imagine watching that with your parents in the room, no matter what age you are. Like that's just grotesque.
And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just like, good God, like this.
So you're watching a movie and there's a scene with your parents? Like you watch?
Also, I got a friend like that. His name's Judas. So he didn't watch anything growing up because he was raised in a very, very strict sort of Baptist household.
Good man.
His parents are great people, but back then, like the big thing I remember is he never watched The Simpsons. And so you forget how many stupid references are based off of like deep cuts of that show.
Yeah.
We'll haven't
But he
seen
didn't watch
a single episode of The Simpsons.
Well, again, I don't know what the wrong with you. That's a wild thing to
I
just
haven't
live
watched
every
any of the
day.
recent ones, but I've watched
Of
like
course,
the
not
lion's
the
share of
recent
my
ones.
life.
I'm okay not knowing. I'll remain ignorant.
Well, me and my old man were obsessed.
All I know
with
is every
Simpsons.
meme about it I've absorbed through right-wing Twitter cultural osmosis.
You've only
Which is-
watched the Simpsons edits where it doesn't make sense.
That guy that made Dark Simpsons used to reply to me all the time. I think he was a geocell.
Yeah, like honestly, the Simpsons, early Simpsons is one of like King of the Hill. Like it's a good show. It's a solid like show, and there's a lot of good stories.
It was my childhood.
Yeah, it was always on. But again, so Judas, he never watched anything growing up.
Oh
and
my God.
you know, back when you're a teenager or you're young, you think, oh my God, you don't have any cultural context. Now looking back, I'm like, yes, parents ruled. Like I wouldn't like, oh, he didn't get to watch.
That's like
He didn't have to listen to Marilyn Manson. Oh no. You know what I mean? Like we just in the last episode, we're talking about Slipknot, and he's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, what the well, I guess, yeah, why should you? Why should anyone know what Slipknot is?
So true.
Right?
I only really liked the first 3 albums of Slipknot. Like I never like when they did like the more recent stuff. Like I didn't because I don't know. Corey Taylor's such a cooler, but it's like what
he is one of the all-time worst men.
Yeah,
like, just in any interview, I think I hate him, but I dig him as a front man. I don't know.
But people, as a frontman, he's great. But like people think he's some kind of like guru or whatever. He's like got this amazing political vision. Oh,
he's such like a California guy. I don't know if he wasn't born in California, but he became a California person.
Didn't he have Trump derangement syndrome too?
Probably, but he's also one of those like, you know, like politics is just corrupt. It's just one guy trying to take your freedom for another freedom, and then it's the corporations.
That's kind of like this documentary.
Yeah, it's like, you know, everything's a corporation and government. Anything that's power is the same sort of power.
Yeah.
And power must be rebelled against. And I'm a rebel. I know that because I have a major record label deal, and I wear designer clothing. You know what I mean? Like we could go on and on about that archetype.
Yeah.
But you know, I hate politicians, but Bernie Sanders has some good ideas because he's all about taking care of the
Matt Kreisman, is that you?
Yeah.
I noticed he tweeted the other day.
Yeah.
I guess he's back.
He's back.
I hated Matt
Imagine
Kreisman.
coming out of a coma and only realize Trump won. And everyone's been making fun of you for being like a crippled vegetable for like 6 months.
Also, everyone was making fun of like he did a lot of before the birth of his child. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's when you would do it. Like you want to do it before the kid.
I think there's a
like, you want to have like a final hurrah.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, he did right before. I'm like, okay, good. If he did it after, well, that's another thing. But that's kind of
you got to let her rip one more line before the thing comes out the line.
Yeah, but apparently it was cumulative, and he just did so much that it broke his brain.
I heard he got a bad source, though. That's what it was.
But you know,
that was the rumor.
I got a deep affection for guys who die from cocaine, so I ended up liking him a bit more after that, I suppose.
Yeah, but like he's a terrible sadist, though. That's he wants us all. He would want us all in camps. Everyone listening to this show right now.
Okay, dude. I know we're just off the rails right now, but did you see that the new leftist show that's attempting to redeem
the Midas Touch or whatever?
Well, no, it's called Doom Scroll.
Oh.
And it's a video podcast.
Don't get me started on that one.
And they're interviewing like Will Menaker. Like I don't hate Chapo's Trap House either. Like I liked the vibe. I liked, you know, a lot about it I thought was kind of interesting.
No Guatemalans, just vibes.
Yeah, but then you see them in interviews and you realize like you powerfully don't have anything to say. Like you're very boring people and you're just complaining about libs, but you're not complaining about it like we do, which is that we should rep and do things. It's like libs.
We should.
Why is no one giving Bernie Sanders a chance? I'm like, it's over. It's
like what over. Year is it to see this like rehabilitation of the dirtbag left?
That's what we.
We called it, Gio. We called it too. They were going to try and go back to that.
No, it's true.
Still going on about AOC. Like, is that all? Like AOC is just done. She doesn't need to be brought up at all. Is there anyone else to talk about than Bernie Sanders and AOC?
It's because they thought she was pregnant.
No, but it's because he's trying to do like this online anthropology stuff, and I'm going to refrain from commenting on this podcast because, frankly, it affects someone that's.
Does it get you worked up?
It gets me worked up, but like,
was AOC pregnant?
No. I mean about this. Like,
there can't be Democrat women getting pregnant. That's the party of baby. Come on, now we just watched a nice like mid woman from Michigan sterilize herself because Trump's in office.
So she just got fat for a bit and then.
Well,
stopped,
yeah, she's
right?
Doesn't Cinema have kids? No,
does she?
Who?
Does she?
Or did she get off just because like she's like bi or whatever? Kristen.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Is she a mom? She's only 48. Let's find out. Is she a mother? Children. Let's see. No mention of children. We'll look that up.
I think a few Democrat women have children. I think, doesn't Gretchen Whitmer have a daughter or whatever?
Born to middle-class Mormon parents in Arizona. I don't know. Does she?
I think Gretchen Whitmer has kids.
Oh God, nightmarish.
She's not that bad looking. I'm with future Moldovan citizen on this question. I think Gretchen Whitmer is not.
I think you just have some weird, like. Never mind. I'm not going to go that far. But
no, but I think Gretchen Whitmer is a terrible person.
No, Gretchen Whitmer, I would throw in jail in a heartbeat just for that god awful. Can
Gio say something without everyone getting mad?
No.
Do you remember that chip thing she did? That where she's like feeding.
The whole communion thing where she's like, making fun of Catholic Eucharist. I put her in jail just for that.
Was that what it was? I thought it was her trying to be like,
she literally had some like woman on her knees as you would traditionally receive communion in the Catholic Church, and she's holding her like a Dorito as the wafer.
Oh man, that's like
I hope that keeps your boner.
No, I thought she was going for some kind of like
Dimes are Catholic.
I just like it. It's just like
no, but I thought she was going. Like an old school like typo negative music video, like that one for Christian Woman. Like I thought she was going for that type of vibe, but I didn't know she was like spoofing the Catholic Church or whatever.
Yeah, like when I hear stories about Lauren Boebert and like, she was kicked out of like the
movie theater.
Some theater
the
performance.
Opera, I thought it was.
Yeah,
because they were filling each other up. Yeah,
she was drunk and getting felt up and vaping. I look at that and I say, "All right, I love a dumb hoe." And I'm tired of pretending that it's not.
I wrote some joke about her. Hold on, I have a Lauren Boebert.
Was it Howling Mutant that said that the reason boomer cons love what's her name Mace is because she's sort of like the attainable MILF type of deal?
No, Boebert is just her entire Twitter line is just like it just screams me, and I don't care what anybody
Nancy
says.
Mace? Is it
Nancy Mace. Her entire Twitter account is just like me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is so she had said something about Lauren Boebert was in the news the other week because she was giving where was it here? There it is.
Is she a grandmother now?
No, I think she's a mom. I don't know if she's a grandma. Oh no, maybe no. I'm pretty sure that's fucking Sarah Palin who's a grandparent.
No, it's Sarah. No,
I
but
want
Lauren
everyone
Boebert
to
too. Like
apologize to Sarah Palin.
But anyway, so Congressman Laura Boebert was in the news last week promising to give pardoned January 6th protesters a personal guided tour of the U.S. Capitol building. The idea originally came from her staffers, as Boebert's original suggestion was taking them to the National Theater.
She's gonna take Baked Alaska for a ride.
Someone's gonna get railed on the lectern again.
We love
Baked Alaska is the only guy that would fumble that ball.
Yo, it's funny because there was a Blood Satellite edit with Baked Alaska song "We Love Our Cops," but you spliced in "We Love the Austin Painter." We love our Third Reich.
Well, it was like an old. I think it was who's the guy who did Siege. He would go on this show.
James Mason.
It
was.
You got any better ones?
It was gross. Bob Larson.
Yeah, it's Bob Larson. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a Charlie Manson, I'd call it. That whole clip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes you sound rough.
The second one, it was like 30 years apart. They had a second interview. together.
Hey, chat, you know how like this entire conversation has been like, do you remember? This is what your old folks' home is going to look like in like 25 to 30 years of racist guys on Twitter, like going over bangers. Like, you remember when Paul Scalise blocked me? You remember when Luigi, that guy? You remember Book Chat? You remember the Hamiltonian Casey guy going after Martin? And then it's going like, that's very nice, sir. Now let's roll you over for your state-mandated racial abuse by immigrant workers.
It's just like the end of The Irishman. It's like, you know who James Mason was? No, who that? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
That's so bad. That's so bad. It was like something. It was like, I remember there was
That's
this.
Me. What do you mean? Why the am I on television?
There was this cartoon where it was like some disgruntled like Vietnam War vet. And I remember my friend Wrestling with Wormwood. He said that back in the day, this was like Wignet 1.1, where it was like a Vietnam War vet with a Korean wife or whatever, with a Vietnamese wife, but he was like incredibly racist. Like,
so we're here to talk to you about Lomez. Who banned him? Cancer. Oh.
What happened to Lomez? Yeah. They found Curtis Yarvin in his bathroom with paraphernalia all around.
It's the same montage of but different names, but the same cause of death. It's like Curtis Yarvin a nail bomb under his step.
Thomas 77 taken out by Azov Battalion.
Shot in the face.
Giant Gio taken out by Azov Battalion.
Thrown into a car cuber.
Turned into a lump of coal.
Oh man. Oh, that's like that scene from Yellow Soy where they had the horse cremator that they threw the guy in.
I just love horse cremator.
Horse cremator.
I imagine like the salesman for that large machine company. Like, I'm a horse cremator salesman, and it's a small market.
Top of the line. Yeah.
But it's my market.
You can't believe how business blew up after COVID.
The horse cremator machine market, it's a business of relationships.
It's a booming business.
Horse cremator 9000, yeah. That should be like
I get a call from Vouch at least once a week.
Remember Mr. Hands?
This is literally what's going to happen to the old folks home. Gio's going to be like, you remember Fash the Nation? And they're going to be like, Gio, what the
And it's just one of us in the corner. What era?
Oh, remember when Jazz Hands was done?
Like some Zoomer, like anime Jungan is gonna find you in the old folks' home and take a photo of you, and he's gonna use it as like the old man Giga Chad from now on. You know, we talked about sadism earlier. Chat, this is the ultimate expression of sadism: is watching this and tolerating pain.
You guys don't remember Mr. Hands?
Get us to the money. The money. Where's my money?
Need those super chats, please.
Yeah, we actually do need to get going soon. But
I live in Canada. Please. It's not good. It's not looking good. If Trump does screw us over, I mean, you guys have to need way more super chats. I have to, pay taxes and anyways.
That's
I can't believe I can't believe I mentioned Mr. Hands on the show. Please help me, sorry, I'm Canadian. I already think of Gio as the old man Giga Chad. Oh man, I used to watch a lot of shock videos when I was in high school. Remember yellow. I'm not gonna say it. Who cares? Okay, let's go. Okay, so final thoughts.
Gio in the old folks' home, not on mic, not on camera, just having conversations. Oh, I can't.
Chat, is this real?
I can't say that. No.
I can't believe. Do not research. And the nurse is like, don't research what?
I can't say.
I shouldn't say it. No, really, I shouldn't say it. Oh, I'm going to say it anyway. You remember Mr. Hands.
Just means like, say it, Gio. Now, before it's too late.
Remember I was on BTR.
Oh my God.
I used to paint, you know.
Oh gosh.
I remember my one-nighters.
Oh,
What do you kids call that these days?
I remember Brittany. Yeah, I remember Brittany. Oh,
You remember Brittany Venti?
no, not Brittany Venti. She wasn't my one-itis. Oh.
Still getting arguments. I remember Brittany Venti. She was busted. She was born busted. Don't you say that about her.
I like how you progressively turned him into Hans Molman.
Yeah.
The ultimate,
You remember Mr. Hands? Oh, no.
The ultimate cursed
anyway.
fate. I was gonna say the ultimate curse fate of every wig nut is you get so old that you actually can't tell who's Jenny Moore.
Oh, that joke may have won the night.
Oh God! Oh, imagine like Sven trying to determine in the old folks' home. Oh God!
This is why I'm. Well, Dimes, you'll escape this fate. You're married with children, so hopefully they'll take care of you. Gio,
I mean, yeah,
you're on notice. We're on notice.
Oh, God. No, but like that impression of me, like in the old folks, I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't say it. Just say what, Gio?
The Prime Minister Trudeau. I mean Castro. He fucked me over.
And then like the Jamaican Desi, worker just doesn't remember who Trudeau is, like,
and just puts you in maid.
Oh God.
I shouldn't say it. And then he dies.
They'll play that video like they did in Soylent Green with like that one was it Tchaikovsky piece, or I forget what the song was. Oh God. Or was it Beethoven? I forget. Oh man.
Anyways, did you people give this man money? I want to go home.
You better. I'm oh man, my throat's really sore now. Anyways, okay, let's go to entropy.
Please be
Okay, let's go to entropy. I'm gonna go from smallest to biggest, ending bigly A. Anyways, I can't believe Terror House Press shut down. You remember Terror House Press?
You remember Terror House Press? You remember Matt Forney?
He taught me
parties.
how to Asian girls.
Well, do you remember
that? We didn't do that before Matt.
I remember the Mike Cernovich article.
Matt taught us how to have sex with cheese. We didn't do that before Cerno.
Do you remember? Do you remember the parrot Mike Scholar's
The taste of this breakfast reminds me of the salty taste of Cerno.
You guys are mean. He's my mutual. I can't bash him too hard. Anyways,
I can't bash him. He's my mutual. He's been dead for 20 years.
Oh my God! Then all of, like, my memories of like hours upon hours of online drama just could come flooding back.
Like, it's gonna just be early onset adult dementia from being terminally online in front of the screen. And there's gonna be this like 55-year-old Gio, and it's just gonna be like, you remember all these things? And it's just like, and then you just say a slur randomly. I shouldn't have said that. And
later.
Do you remember when Ethan Ralph threatened Pantsu? Who's Ethan Ralph? Who's Pantsu?
And somehow, Mr. Medicare is still going to be alive and comments on your death.
Yeah. Oh, that's real Gio trauma right there. That's real.
Chat looks like Gio has the ability to edit out all he wants with that advanced dementia.
Oh, oh God.
I've even got a new hat that says I shouldn't say that.
That should be like official, that should be like official DA merch. I shouldn't say that. That's me telling strangers at the bus stop about you.
You're gonna be like that meme where like the woman hides her kid from like the strange man talking. You want to hear about Ethan Ralph and the latest, I didn't know Bell, bitch. And then all of a sudden,
do you remember when he snaked
hiding their
Fuentes?
children?
Do you remember when he snaked Fuentes?
Who? What?
You remember?
Huh?
You remember the bowling challenge? You remember Ethan Ralph?
Gosh.
Remember Ethan Ralph's bowling event?
Hey, do you remember when he snaked Fuentes? You mean President Fuentes?
It'd be like this scene from Back to the Future. Ronald Reagan, the actor.
Nick Fuentes, the streamer? Yeah, it's like Ethan Ralph gets executive ordered, if you know what I mean. Oh man. Okay,
Kanye West, the head of the Bureau of Prisons. All right, please go to the super chats before I load something.
Okay, Sean Schaefer for $3. Working out to this podcast better so I can more efficiently tell Gio the USA beat the hell out of those Canucks, and I get to pay him for the pleasure. Oh man, well I kind of knew they were gonna win.
You paid him for pleasure? That sounds kind of gay.
No, but for the pleasure of telling me that.
Yeah. I know.
Oh god. Okay, Sean Schaefer again for $3.
Certified post.
Elon's brood will be the mentats from my spacefaring offspring in their interplanetary raiding clans.
I had said that the X Wars of Succession in the mid-21st century was the most expensive African conflict in history.
Oh boy. Oh man. Anyways, so let's go on. Capitalissimo for $5. Apu Nahasapita Petalon being banished from The Simpsons allowed Indians to invade real-world America. If he returns, they will once again be contained in the fiction prison of Berat. So that's true.
Capitalissimo literally DM'd me on Discord saying he'll never be able to pronounce this super chat. I've got him in a trap.
Oh, there was that one comment by Bill Wilson. Where did Gio put his pills? In the locker.
That's where I remember when I would put my math homework in the locker. I never answered DMs. How did I get here?
Shut up, whippersnapper. I bet you didn't smell what the Rock is cooking. Oh, man, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut from Gio's childhood right there. Oh, man. Anyways.
I remember when I was an incel. You were never an incel.
Yeah, and then in the same Canadian retirement home, Horace Finkelstein says, you were never an incel. You know? Oh, man.
Never an incel. You share a room with a Ukrainian refugee from Azov.
Giant Gio taken out by Ukrainian refugee from Azov Battalion.
He hits your bed every morning, Gio. He remembers what you said when you was Pootler.
No, I never said that. I wouldn't say that. Remember when Ghost?
I would never say that. I shouldn't say that.
No.
Oh God! I remember someone said to me once in this chat, "Never go to Oakville ever, Gio." Oh man! Oh boy!
I don't know why I find that so funny.
Well, it was implying that a lot of Ukrainians are there.
I just like the idea of Crips gunning for you or something.
I'm just imagining it's 50 years from now and they finally find you and it's a bunch of 80-year-old Ukrainians. They're like, how do we work this drone? We gotta get him. I need to upload this to live leak on Telegram.
It's just a scene at a shot collar, some skinhead up. There's a green light on Gio.
Wait until Gio finds out Dimes is half Ukrainian. Are you half Ukrainian?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I asked you that before. Yeah. I forgot.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't? No, yeah, it's it doesn't.
No, this
come
was
up
like
that
me
often.
finding out you were Catholic on Last Things this show, and I'm like, I've been working with this guy on and off for like 3 years, and I don't know jack shout you.
Well, because I don't. It doesn't come up really. I know, when the war in Ukraine started, pretty much half the entire space was saying this should be ashes yesterday, and I'm like, okay,
Okay,
I'll let
it's
this
over.
go.
Yeah.
Don't tell Thomas 777 any of this, please. I like him. I want to be his friend still.
Oh man. Anyways, let's move on to the bigger ones. So, Sam153 for $20. Great latest content-minded episode for all Canucks recommended. DA versus FG soon. Oh, Fiddler's Green.
Oh yeah, he's streaming right now.
Oh God.
Who's
but
winning?
funny, we haven't suffered for views. Like,
no, it's actually been remarkably pretty even.
Yeah. But I think Dave was like on the 5th episode of this show, if I recall.
Dave was on the 10th episode of the show. It remains our highest viewed episode to date.
Whoa. Anyways, wow. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I checked the numbers.
Oh man. Anyways, he still hasn't replied to my DM. But anyways, Berwick.
You don't reply to DMs.
I know. I don't.
I had a man eat. Actually, no, this is a real story. I had a guy, a super chatter from this episode, like I think episode 116, message me, and he's just like, "Hi, Pru. Gio has not been able to get back to me, but I wanted to know if you were interested in the proposition of reviewing an anime show for us. What's the usual fee? Oh, by the way, Gio, you need to get back to him so he knows how to compensate you and for how much."
Oh, but we're both doing it, so we'd have to
emails out of the locker because you apparently are missing out on money.
Okay, I will. It's just I've been away from
answer your emails.
It's so funny that people can't just give Gio money.
I have a PayPal down below if you want,
I mean, like if you sent a PayPal, you'd still just not accept it.
Oh yeah. Anyways, story of my life, man. Story of my life. Anyways, Berwick for $25. Hey Gio, you mentioned last time that you were getting into 40K lore. Who are your favorite guys thus far, and have you looked at anything Warhammer Fantasy related? I was looking at like a little bit of the lore. I kind of do like the story behind the Black Templars is very interesting to me. Like they're like a decentralized crusader army that like worships the Imperium, the Emperor, and it's very fun. Like they're shrouded in mystery. I think they're pretty based. I mean, Slanesh also has a very interesting story as well. But thank you, Berwick. Thank you very much. Then we have who else? Sam153. Oh, we already did that one. Oh yeah, Charlie Mackey for $30. Good evening. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you, Charlie Mackey. And finally, I think this is the biggest one. I don't know. Can you imagine if it's the real one? But like he came back from the dead. James Burnham for $50 and he just says pureobject.net. What the hell is pureobject.net? What is that? What is pureobject.net? Anyways, I'm looking this up. I'm looking this up. I know what Pure Object
is a merch store.
It's shirts and ads.
It is?
All right, yeah. Okay.
Welcome
Pure Object.net.
All right.
Okay.
Oh my god, that's Micah Paul. That's Micah Paul.
This is Micah Paul stuff? Let's go.
Yeah.
No.
The official
I wanted to hate it. I looked at him like, I don't hate this.
I really don't either.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'd buy a hoodie.
All products. I like the dead object theory. I might get the hat. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I like the toque. The Neuroscan reflector cap. It's pretty cool.
Like these hats actually look really good. The toque. Anyway, I'm getting sucked into this.
Killer camera beams. Oh, that one's also really okay. All right, you win. You win.
Right.
You win. Michael
You win.
Literally
you win
call
this round,
pureobject.net. Enjoy.
Gio's Graper hoodie. We need to make this.
Let me go. I would put that on a mug in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. We have to do this.
I sounded disappointed because I was gearing up for like a Time Cube style like schizo thing.
Oh, remember Time Cube?
I was getting really excited, and then it's Micah Pohl.
Remember Time Cube?
Remember spinal catastrophism? I have a catastrophe with my spine every morning, you asshole. I threw it out trying to impregnate Ashley St. Clair.
Remember when Dimes completed the sequence of Time Cube and spinal catastrophism and synthesized them? Huh? What you talking about?
I don't know
what you mean. You know what's so crazy is that Ashley St. Clair in that photo, the New York Magazine like expose, she had to like post feet. Like, why did she do that? She knew what she was doing. You know what I mean?
You know
like,
exactly why.
Do you think that people do the foot thing even when they're old?
I don't know.
You know
Probably.
I mean? Like, if you're into feet, are you also into old ladies' feet? Because as you age, as you get old, you also like having with older people.
Well, it's like people like, people like...
They're not hags, they're your cops.
Well, I'd imagine, like, if people liked, MILF prawn, it'd be the same.
I think it's different when it's, like, mid-40s, and then you're, like, 20 years older than that, I imagine.
Like, our 80-year-olds, if you're into feet, are you into, like, 80-year-old feet?
I can't imagine anyone being into feet. Like, how does that happen?
I think at that age, that fetish is, like, calmly dead. Or it's, like, restricted to just younger people.
No, but they say... I think
this is why we should talk to seniors more often.
No, but people were saying that there actually is. Like,
hey, what was the boomer on your Steve Saylor stream, Dimes? And go get him back on. And
get her back on.
Randomly inappropriate questions.
Why did I say it out loud? God. Anyways, let's go.
57-20. He's got to edit that other part out.
Let's go. Listen. I'm not gonna A-log. I'm not doing that. Okay. I'm not.
I'm just a historian. I'm just saying a thing.
I'm not gonna listen.
I'm like AA. I'm just a scholar.
Yeah, I'm not gonna...
I thought this was just a sensible centrist type thing to say.
Well, listen, I'm not gonna A-log. Okay, moving on to Fluke in the Blurk. I like that profile picture for
it's very Swedish chef.
50,000 dong. I believe that's the Vietnamese dong.
50,000 dong.
50,000 dong. I think it's like $3 Canadian.
It's like an Old Testament Bible story.
Listen how happy he was. He was so excited.
Oh boy. Chad Higg was great on the Alexander Bard interview. Can't tell if Bard is a genius or cringe. LARPer, though. Well, I mean, he sways between the two, honestly. But thank you for the super chat. I can't believe people listen to us from Vietnam. That's crazy.
Speaking of cringe LARPers, do you remember how like it was just like 2 days ago where Logo Daedalus was doing a thread and it was literally copy paste from Wikipedia?
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
What was it about?
Oh, it was about some historical person, and it was just like da 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 da, and then someone's like, "Oh, this is straight from the Wikipedia page."
You probably get ChatGPT to do it.
My favorite interaction was between him and Nick Land, where Nick was like, "Come on, Logo, are you just like making up again?"
I Logo, come on. His voice, his British voice. Yo, Logo, you're making shit again, aren't you?
It's so funny that he's known as a guy to do that. Like, it's just like, okay, are you doing that thing again that everyone?
Well, kind of like his former best, kind of like his
record
friend.
Being known, like, oh, you're the guy that got joked on and ratioed by the one-shot Gigafried meme, dude.
It's so embarrassing about that though, because if you had any sense at all, like Prude said, you would just use ChatGPT or Grok. But using Wikipedia is like getting caught writing the answers to the test on the inside of your palm. Like, that's a dunce move.
Do you remember Landshark?
You remember being one-shotted? Yeah, like, no, but Logo, like, it's
I take a Coke with my Prevagen. I'm told it's peaty.
I actually had a Ray-P carrot salad today.
I keep asking the nurse for the carrot salad, but she replies to me in Swahili.
At that advanced age, Gio's still racist enough to tell the difference between African languages.
Are you a Khoisan? Anyways,
would you like to know about the Igbo people?
That was like that viral Annie Slats tweet. If someone knows the difference between a Bantu and a Khoisan, they're the most like racist man alive. Oh,
one of the like 5 good Annie Slats tweets ever.
Are you kidding me? Annie Slats is a content machine. Anyways, let's move on.
I need a soundboard, so anytime that Gio like says something nice about women, I have like an alarm.
Kind of like how people
can I just say swap out the O for a U? Like, is that allowed in content machine?
What?
Is that permitted, Gio?
Switching out what for what? Content machine. Oh, no, you guys, no. Oh, my God.
30112.
Oh.
Just so you can write that down, buddy.
She's a good friend of mine. Oh, my God. Anyways.
There's going to be people who saw this live that are going to speak about like you had to have been there to catch it because it didn't survive.
You had to have been there. This one ain't surviving. More than 5 minutes after we go off the air.
Oh, God. Anyways, for another 20,000 dong. I can't believe I just said that. Love that video. You're under arrest. No, I'm not. That was a good one. That was a good Sovereign Citizen cringe video. Remember cringe compilations? Nobody,
remember cringe compilations.
Okay, oh my God. Brute's gonna do that like every single time I say you remember.
You got $1.11 Canadian.
Oh God. Anyways,
it's a very generous Vietnamese man.
Seamus O'Blaine for £2 British sterling. Musk wants eugenics, not with those solid mids. Lol. Oh, boy.
You could say he's regressing to the mean.
I don't think Grimes is a mid though. She's kind of whatever, but anyways.
See, I like how you don't have to say anything, Dimes, and he just opens his mouth.
What?
Here's the thing: if you on a long enough timeline, these things that I say are going to come out of Gio's mouth.
This is true.
Remember Leafy? Remember MLG?
You remember Leafy? You remember MLG? You remember calling someone the N-word on Xbox Live? I remember.
And all the Gen Alpha.
I had so many mothers back then.
Oh, remember that one where it's
I have a very fun time at confession.
Remember that one where it's like, I bet you kiss girls FGT? That was like, that's just like, this sums up like
your mom goes to college.
That's like just sums up like mid-2000s millennial. Like,
I like the idea of Prude going to confession and it's just him testing out his bits to the priest.
I actually can't do that because my priest is incredibly keyed. Like
it's just you testing it out. It's like Prude, you're overthinking it.
I've had moments like that with him, and it's pretty bad. Like, because like one time somehow like the conversation of Richard Spencer came up, and I just made like a offhand remark that I think he's kind of gay, and my priest goes, and he's like, no, he was married to that Russian woman for a while until he divorced her, and I was like, I need to shut the fuck up right now because this man knows way more than I thought.
It was like one of my professors mentioned Nick Land. I said, I'm a mutuals Nick Land on Twitter. And he's just like, he like was silent for like a few moments.
Because he was just like, I was reading something. What was he? Yeah, because he was the same priest. He's the same priest who told me when we were reading Resistance to Evil by Force. He was just like, a lot of priests don't like that book. He says, I think that there's some things that are okay with it. And I was like, whoo, I need to be careful about what I say around him because like he doesn't know who I am on the internet. And I'm just like, I like to keep it that way. Like I did his taxes and I did the taxes for the church because I'm the treasurer. And then he sent me like a boomer Facebook meme about like, boy, I'm so glad I learned about parallelograms and how to do my taxes. It'll come really handy in parallelogram season. And I just replied to him. I said, Father, first this and then the ska references you made earlier. I'm a little worried about how you and I are very similar.
I never got into ska.
This is getting to the part of the episode. There's so many things. I actually don't want to make Gio mad. I feel like I've let you down because I made a promise before the start of this episode that I wouldn't make you edit anything. But I have so many bad things I want to. I just want you to know that I'm not saying them.
No, I know. I I might have to take this down and edit. But anyways, for
you had to be there, kids.
For Big Ben for $10, I got a D for you, pal. Here, pal. Thank you, Big Ben.
I've got a D for you right here, pal.
And John Carter for $19.99, but I can't display it on because he says a certain word. Great show tonight. Hope we end up in the same senior citizen African boxing club. Oh my God. Thank you, John Carter.
They put me in the featherweight championship. At the Justin Trudeau Senior Medical Facility outside of Ontario.
Oh, I was in the featherweight Mandingo Championship in the Justin Trudeau concentration camp.
That was like that song
30618 if you want to edit that one out there, buddy.
Oh,
no.
Man.
No.
Do you remember the Digital Archipelago episode 119 live and unedited? I remember.
Do you remember when Justin Trudeau boxed that native conservative politician, and then like he won, and then like
remember
the guy got
Justin Trudeau in blackface?
Remember when Justin Trudeau fought that native guy and he won, and so he said, "This land is mine now."
You and me.
Well, Justin Trudeau beat up natives quite a few times. Like during the convoys, he like stamped on the RCMP stamped on with their horses an elderly native woman.
I thought you described it
if I do say so myself.
I thought you were saying he stopped like in American History X. Like Jesus, really?
No.
Can you just imagine Trudeau like pulling his shirt down and on his chest is like the Canadian like maple leaf, and he's like, "You see this? It means you're not welcome."
Oh man.
See, this part of the show is where I get to test out my bits on Gio's channel and cause untangible psychic damage.
Oh my God. No, but anyways, so yeah, but apparently Patrick Brazo, he got charged for like domestic abuse or something. I don't know. Anyways. So this has been quite something. I don't know what.
This has been an amazing episode. We barely
time.
talked about the documentary. There were so many jokes. I got to be let loose, and I'm completely sober. I'm having a great time. This has probably been one of the funniest. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time.
Look at that reply from Vasocus.
So can we put that one up? I mean, that's.
I'm not gonna put that one up.
Canadian History X Justin Trudeau Groiper.
Remember when Christian?
You remember that book review show called Tukey's Mag?
Remember Shuan Head?
Remember Shuan Head and when she was in that weird BDSM relationship before she settled and married Beta Buck's Catholic lawyer?
Oh man!
You know, honestly, like we're laughing about all this stuff, but I'm listening to it. I'm like, what a stupid life! Like, what?
Jesus Christ, that got really depressing.
Man.
What the fuck?
This is your life. These are your
idiots
memories. This is the amalgamation of all that you have ever said or done and recalled. There are no memories of loved ones. There are no children to hold you close as you slip this mortal coil. There is no priest to give you your last rites as you frailly and coughly ask if anyone remembers Ethan Ralph and the kill stream as you die sad, fat, and alone in an aging care facility ran by migrants. Yeah, no, that's an incredibly depressing thing, Dimes. Thank you so much for making
I got one more.
Do
you remember Milo Yiannopoulos? You mean President Yiannopoulos?
President Yiannopoulos.
You mean the president of the Kisnet in Israel?
Prime Minister Yiannopoulos.
No, they have a president as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. I can't believe Prude just like mapped out my whole life. I feel like I can't.
This is just like the ghost of E-Celeb future, like warding you to like turn your life around. You're like, no, I can change. I can change, oh spirit. I can change. I can find a woman. I can become a fake cell. I can have children. Anything, sir, not to die like this in my own shit. As a Somalian hears me talk about Ethan Ralph is my last words. Please, Spirit, is it
me going
still
through
too late? Can I
Christmas
change?
Carol and me saying, I don't want to change. I like this. This rules. Change
Oh.
nothing. I want to die like this. This is
I
cool.
regret nothing.
Oh, West Bank
what should
Mayor.
I be doing?
That's a username right there. West Bank Mayor Yiannopoulos Groiper. Needed an E-Rate Carol radio play next winter.
I do now. I should write the E-Write Christmas Carol, starring Gio as Ebenezer Scrooge, and like.
Instead of there's more gravy than grave in you, it's like there's more carrot salad than grave in you.
There's more coal than gems in you.
The ghost of Christmas past trying to lead him out of the house. He's like, no.
Oh God.
I don't remember this party. Well, that's because, Mr. Panichetti, you never went to any parties. You never went to any IRL events.
I didn't want it.
But I can change. I can change. Oh, Spirit.
It's like,
Really?
Look over there.
This is pretty nice.
Wait, what party is this? There's Curtis Yarvin. It's like, well, he was at every party, so
there's my coupon.
It must have been a place where they offered him a hot meal.
What is this party? Curtis Yarvin is here. Lomez is here.
All my mutuals are here.
All my mutuals are here.
You never opened the locker of your DMs.
That's gonna be like, that imagine like if you lived in an apartment complex with all of your mutuals. Imagine the zany hijinks you would get into.
Imagine living in an apartment building with all your mutuals and then a plane collides with it.
Wow, my timeline is a lot cleaner.
Oh man.
That me seeing that in the Ghost of Christmas Future, like, yeah, I like that. Let's do it. Change it up.
I remember I had a tweet once
called like Gamergate. Remember Five Guys.
No, in the future, kids are gonna learn about Gamergate in the history books.
It's gonna be in a history book, and Carl Benjamin's smug ass face that conference is gonna be in a textbook.
He's gonna be in the textbook. Yeah. Zoe Quinn. Yeah, the censored nudes would be in the textbook.
Do you remember Anita Sarkeesian?
Have you ever seen the Zoe Quinn nudes?
No, and I'm okay to never see them.
I love Gio's random acts of horniness. Did you ever see that? Were they good?
There is a secret third co-host of the show, and it's just Gio's dick.
Remember the Tea Party? You guys didn't know that Zoe Quinn has nudes?
I know they exist, but they're in the same lens of women I don't ever want to see their nudes of like shoe on head. I don't want to see that either.
You've never seen the shoe on head nudes?
I'm aware where you can find them on Encyclopedia Dramatica, but I don't endorse that.
Let's not say things we can't take back.
Yeah, true.
You might want to edit that one out.
They're horrendous. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to judge.
No, just to be clear, I was, in case this gets lost in the sauce, I was in favor of the nudes.
Gio, why are you asking? We're surprising you.
You never seen them? I don't know. I feel like that one bit from Smiling Friends. It's like, dude, you know about all these nudes? Kiss your dad on the mouth.
You kiss your dad on the mouth? Yeah. Remember Ethan Ralph? Oh, God.
A shining endorsement of e-girl nudes from Gio.
I like how the chat has just turned into like an unironic version of what we were talking about. People just remembering stuff and wanting to talk about it.
This is just right-wing member berries.
Remember the Ethan Ralph sniff? Oh, God. No, Anita did not have any nudes. Unfortunately. Anyways,
just for people
you can't get out of that. You can't just get out of that. Unfortunately,
you guys can't. You guys gotta admit, Anita did look good back in the day. You gotta admit. Come on.
I was supposed to say for the record, for people who are wondering, I've actually never looked at any of these nudes. Like I know they exist, but I've never. Even when like it was, what was her name? Like the Scarlett Johansson, like the big.
Oh, the fat.
Oh, the
fat.
What it was called?
Yeah.
I never even looked at any of that. I'm secretly a swear.
You mean in Mexico, Ethan Ralph?
if this is like the ghost of Christmas future that like he's showing like this Gio, I think I might want to just like be like, no, I think I'll die, like.
Well,
I think I'll leave the car in the garage.
Look at Lightning NC. Gio, you saying that Anita looked good back in the day is honestly the most disappointing thing you've ever heard from me.
I can't believe you guys. I mean, come on, man.
Where was it? Mandel brought
listen,
dust.
okay.
We did RFK Jr. earlier. If you eat as much pussy as I do, like this.
Anita,
if I have eaten seed oils as much as I've eaten pussy, I would have died. And that's why I endorsed Trump for president.
She still looks good. That's right, Bubbles. She still looks good. Remember when Nick Rekieta had some dignity?
In the show.
All right, we gotta stop this. Okay, I'm gonna pull up an old photo of Anita. So you guys,
but for the record, I was.
How the episode is.
Let me just
so bad.
Just for the record, I was also like, this is okay, but not me saying anything about Apple. Just to say, okay.
Keep it going, Hassel. Keep it going.
No, I have to go to work tomorrow.
Oh man, you mean Chief Justice Nick?
Chief Justice of the Canadian Supreme Court.
No, American Supreme Court.
No. The Gospels, they do nothing.
No.
Imagine Nick Rekieta he takes Clarence Thomas's place when Clarence Thomas slips his mortal coil.
I'd rather.
Oh man, that'll never happen. All right, this has been fun. I'm probably
this episode is very ussing heavy.
Yeah. No, the Gio in the retirement home bit. I think that's one of your best bits, Prude, next to Kissinger and Canada. Don't even joke about that, Andrew Kelly. Oh boy.
Yeah, there are like 2 Canadian nationalists on this panel. Good luck with that.
DEA Director Rick Rekieta. DEA Director Nick Rekieta. Oh, remember when we died over and over in our minds and it became real? Oh no.
This is like 30% more dying than the average DA episode.
We're all going to look back on this 10 years from now and we're like, man, remember this? You know?
I'll look back at this tomorrow and say that was great.
I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then I'm going to get so depressed when like the edited version of this episode comes out 3 weeks later. Which is why I want the unedited version sent to my DMs afterwards.
The unedited version will probably be on
Welcome to the Dying Archipelago.
Spotify. All right.
Remember
thank you guys. Oh my god. This is incredible.
Was Gio talking about Anita Sarkeesian? No, he was just talking about Sarkeesian. He didn't mention
Anna
Kasparian
or
Anna Kachyan.
All 3 of them look good. All 3 of them look good.
They're all beautiful.
They're all beautiful. They're all beautiful.
And the ghost of like E. Wright future shows that they're all happily married with children.
Oh no!
I think Anna Kasparian is married.
Yeah, she's married to some like baseball scout or whatever.
Yeah, and Anna Kachyan does have a child and a boyfriend.
A child and a boyfriend.
Well, you know, Dasha will never have kids, but that's besides the point.
Hey, I'm not saying nothing.
I'm not saying never, but I'm thinking that Dash is not she's not the motherly type.
I think she's the same kind of person that if she had kids, she would just say, like, listen, it was with this guy, it doesn't count.
I agree with Gio that Dasha should never have children.
It's not that I'm saying, well, I didn't say that.
Like a true Ukrainian.
Oh my god. No. Oh man. Anyways. Oh man. You guys. I'm gonna have to heavily censor this. All right,
this has been a lot of fun.
Kachyan, Kasparian, Sarkeesian. Okay, Donald Trump Gaming. I will admit to that schema. Kachyan number 1, second Kasparian, third.
Aren't you mutuals with her?
Yes.
Did she know about all this? Does she know what like a pest you are?
I think she knows that. I think that she's beautiful. Obviously.
I mean, I like how this has gone from a like we just talked about nudes like 3 minutes ago, and I was like, well, obviously she's a beautiful woman, and it's like, okay, I see you covering your ass. I see you.
She was a beautiful woman.
All of Gio's baby girls are special.
I honestly think Anna looks way better than
nobody puts Gio's mutuals in a corner.
Okay, so
dude, that's like every episode I'm on, Rick. desperately
Prude
trying to
desperate
end the
trying to-
show.
Remember, you mean UN Secretary General Dasha Nekrasova? Oh, man. Anyways, yes, Anna Dasha, I agree, wholeheartedly endorse. All right. Ugh. But it's funny because I'd imagine, like, if I ever get interviewed by Red Scare, that, I mean, I'd feel really bad that I'd do all this, like, Dasha bashing, but then she'd be, like, really nice to me, and I'd be like, I don't know, like, I feel like an ass.
Gio when women are nice to him.
Gio when women are nice.
I mean, the fact that they haven't interviewed yet is frankly annoying.
I know.
Yeah, they need to just hurry up and have you on their show.
Well, maybe when the book
The same
comes out.
thing with Kino Casino. Just get it
Anyways.
out of your system already.
Gio and Red Scare went. All right, see you guys. This has been a great episode, but I probably will have to take this down and edit it. So
Let it
we'll
stay
see.
out for like 5 minutes.
All right, I'll let it stay out so you guys can download it. But I probably will put this uncensored version somewhere. So thank you all. Thank you for the super chats. We all love your support, and it's been a blast. And my throat is really hurting right now. So as we always say. We forgot to shill. You have an article out, Prude.
Yeah, I just put out an essay on Substack today. And then if you're interested in nicotine, pouch.com/prude. Get 10% off your first order.
Times is a new episode of Blood Satellite.
Yeah, that's right. New episode of Blood Satellite. And we'll be having a new article up on the Vanguard's Journal. That's vanguardsjournal.substack.com probably this week. But yeah, I won't take up too much time with the shilling, just those two.
Yeah, and
the uncensored version of this episode will be going in the locker, so enjoy it while you were here live. Remember that.
I'll probably be coming out with a cool report later in the week, so we'll see what happens.
I thought we did a good job here.
Oh my God. All right. As we always say, God bless. Goodbye. Too sweet.
I'll see you later, gents.
Oh.